So you wanted to apply for a job that requires Office 365 experience. You've come to the right place. This video is specifically designed for that, and it's a crash course that consists of probably around 6 videos that I've made in the past, but it's all in one video, and for those reasons you can just sit down, relax, get some popcorn, or maybe follow along, and then you can learn how to use Office 365. Then you can put it on your resume, or when you apply for the job, that you know how to use Office 365. I hope you enjoyed, so let's get into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Kobo Man. This is a revival video series for Office 365. If you are paying attention to my channel, you know that I have a bunch of videos on Office 365. But to me, bunch is not more than like 12. That's not a lot in my opinion. So we're going to come back to Office 365 series, and we're going to actually have to fix our Office 365 setup. So here's what's going on right now. You can see that all of these users that we've created, they're all unlicensed. Unlicensed in the sense that they can't use any of the Office 365 products. So we're going to have to fix that. So what happened is that the licenses that I was using, they expired for teaching purposes. So we're going to get back to that. We're going to try to fix all of these. I think we have 25 licenses that we can use. So I got a teacher's license A3, and then we're going to test them to see if it works. Of course, we're going to concentrate on users in this first video, but just like I made the previous ones, you can follow along by getting your own trial version of Office 365. I will put a link in the very first comment below, so you can get trial version of Office 365 from Microsoft. It does require a credit card, but I think it's only used for verification purposes. Afterwards, you can remove the credit card if you don't want it to be charged. So that is available to you. You can certainly follow that link. And please do me a favor, since I'm reviving this Office 365 training, in the comments below, please say hello, hi, or present, sort of like a roll call in the class, so that way I know people are interested in this type of content. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and it helps push the video as well. Thank you. Okay, so here we are. Let me show you. I'm going to show you billing here. And don't worry, if you're new to Office 365, this is going to be very easy to follow. And I just want to show to returning people that what happened is that my licenses had expired, but now we got Microsoft 365 A3 for faculty, which is 25 licenses. So I was able to renew this. Okay. All right. So let's go start fixing the users, and we can do this from Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So this is one place to do it. The other place is from Azure Active Directory. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to do it in both because we are teaching both ways, right? So, and that's perfectly fine. This is going to be great. Okay. So first, an easy way to do it is to do it through the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So this is the first place you log into, and this is done by going to admin.microsoft.com. Of course, you have to log in and this and that. But when you go to adminmicrosoft.com, this is where the Microsoft 365 Admin Center is. And we're going to also create new user after we fix the ones that are missing licenses. So these are users that already existing. We use them as part of our training that you could follow along, and every video is going to be connected to that. So this is another reason why I was talking about making sure you get this trial so you can follow along. All right, so I've selected Bob Bobson here and then expanded here to the right side. So now, of course, we're going to go to the licenses and apps because Bob can't use anything unless we have a license added to him. So I'm going to add Microsoft 365 A3 for faculty license to him. And once I click Save Changes here, it's going to apply it. But let's kind of see what kind of apps are actually available with this Microsoft 365 A3 for faculty license. All right, so when I clicked on just below, when I expanded apps, it should tell me what this license does. And here it is. And you can, of course, tailor this, you can customize this if you don't want part of it to be used by Bob. If you don't want Bob to use certain parts of Office 365, we can disable it right here. So here is what's all selected right now by selecting that A3, and he gets access to Azure Active Directory Basic for Education, Azure Active Directory Premium P1, and let's look for some common stuff that we can check. For example, where is our, there's a lot. Here's Microsoft Teams. I'm hoping I'm not missing Power Apps. There it is, Exchange Online. I must have missed it. Like it should have been on top. I should have gone by alphabetical order, guys. All right, all right, no problem. Anyways, we got it. Exchange Online, Plan 2. Now, I'm not sure what this Plan 2 means, but we're going to log in as Bob and we're going to check that out. So I'm going to save changes. Okay, so we've done this for Bob. Let's do the same thing for somebody else, and then we're going to come back and log in as Bob to see if that Outlook works, if the Outlook works. All right, so we're going to do it the same thing for, I don't know, let's do this for Jasmine. Jasmine Long, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do this through Azure Active Directory. So we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to look for Jasmine Long in Azure Active Directory, and here's our Azure Active Directory on the left side. We're going to expand users, right? We're going to expand users, and we can search for Jasmine Long right here, and we could have searched for Jasmine Long in the admin center as well, but you know, we don't have that many users, so we can just find her. And here she is, Jasmine Long. We're going to select her. And here it's slightly different, but it's not that much confusing. You still have a tab here where it just says licenses. It's just slightly different position. We're going to select that. And it says here, no licenses assignment found. So we're going to click on the plus sign. We're going to add assignment. We're going to add that Microsoft 365 8.3 for faculties. So here's kind of what it looks like when we expanded those 45 applications. And here's the same thing, right? Here is the same thing, same options that Bob had, everything this and that. And again, here is that Exchange. Where is Exchange? Am I blind? This is not alphabetical. This is why I missed it, right? It's not alphabetical. There it is, Exchange Plan. It's not a, so that's something to keep in mind. It's not alphabetical order when it comes to Azure Active Directory, when it comes to these apps. So this time, Exchange Online is actually listed really, really far on the bottom. Anyways, doesn't matter. We're going to save it. So now we have Jasmine and Bob with the same type of licenses. Now they should be able to use all the things that are listed in here. And we're going to certainly test. You know, we may not have access to certain things, but it should be, because this is a training license for faculty so that it can be trained in the class. Okay, so what was the next thing I wanted to do? We wanted to check to see if Bob Bobson can get to his mail. So if we select Bob Bobson, I'm going to select mail here on the right. See how it extended again? So select Bob Bobson, select mail, and it says here we're preparing a mailbox for the user. So there's a couple of things that may have happened here. Is that Bob Bobson never logged into his mailbox, and for those reasons we don't see a mailbox in here at all. That's what usually is the case. So chances are we haven't logged in as Bob in the previous videos at all. So that's fine. Once we log in for the first time, this is going to appear, and it's going to have the information for the mailbox. All right, but we're going to have to test this. And you know, I don't remember what Bob's password was. So we're going to have to reset his password, and we're going to do it right here. And of course, you can do the same thing in Azure Active Directory, but we're going to start from here. We're going to reset Bob's password right here, and we're going to, you know, you can tell it to do automatically create password, or you can just, you know, tell them what do you want. And let's see, it says here, require user to change the password when they first sign in. You can certainly do that. That's very typical, and that's something that most companies do because of security, right? And then you can also tell it to email the sign-in info to me, meaning Bob, right? Here's his email address. But, you know, how is he going to get to his email? How is he going to get to his email without able to unlock his email with his new password? So I'm not going to do email. I'm just going to do require a user to change the password when they first sign in. This is what I would typically do. but since I don't feel like changing the password for him now, but this is what you want to do. Make sure this is checked normally. This time I'm not going to do it because I don't have time to mess with all that. So I'm just going to put in password, just something. And let's see, hopefully it takes it. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to try to remember it. So password has been changed. Now I'm going to tell Bob over the phone, usually over the phone. I'm going to tell him, Bob, hey, this is your new password, and then he's going to get a prompt to change it. And again, I made sure that I don't have to change it on his behalf this time, but normally you would want to. So I'm going to open up a different browser, and I'm going to try to log in as Bob. All right, so here we are at login.microsoftonline.com. We're going to log in as Bob. Looks like I've tried to log in before with him into something, so that's okay. We got Bob at cosmicnovo.com on Microsoft.com. So that's his login ID. So if you go back and double check, you can say, Bob, here's your login ID address. All right. So here's your login ID address. You can use your email address to log in. So I'm going to click next, and then it's going to ask me for the password. I'm going to type in the new password. Now it's probably going to force me to use multi-factor authentication, and here it says Microsoft has enabled security defaults to keep your account safe. And I can select next and set up multi-factor authentication, or I can skip for 14 days until it's required. You know what? Let's set it up. So here is the thing. In order to set up multi-factor authentication, you will have to install an app, which I have on my phone. And mine is just Microsoft Authenticator, but you can use other apps as well. So mine is exactly the same one that I'm using. It's Microsoft Authenticator, and you can download it on your iOS or your phone. So here it is. Here is the code if you want to set this up. So if you're following along, you can get this, right? I'm using the one that's on Google Play, but you can also get it on Google, on the App Store for the Apple phones and stuff. So I have mine installed already, so I'm going to click next, and it's going to basically let me set this up so that way I can use the authenticator. You can use authenticator for multiple things. So here is the scan code. I'm going to use my phone to scan this. Okay, just a moment. I'm trying to, here we go. Add account on my phone. And I'm going to add a work account on my phone. So that's what I'm doing. I know you can't see it, but that's what I'm selecting on my app. So if you're following along, that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to click scan a QR code. So again, add account, and then you select the work or school account, or you can do a personal account. Doesn't matter. This is just for multi-factor authentication, but I'm selecting work or school account, and then I'm going to select scan code, and then I'm going to allow my phone to scan this. All right, and now it's activating. I've scanned the code, and now I have authentication number, which is a randomly generated code, so that way I can log in as Bob. So I'm gonna click next. All right, and the code I got, and actually now it's asking me on the authenticator if I approve the sign in. I'm gonna say approve, and then I've confirmed it on my app. And then now I have randomly generated code that I'm going to use, and it's called one-time password code as well. And see, now it approved automatically. Notification is approved because I've selected it on my phone. And it says here, Microsoft Authenticator app was successfully registered. I'm going to select done. And well, I guess it didn't ask me for the first time. I guess that's one way to verify it. But I do have a code here that it's just one-time password, so maybe next time I log in, we're going to have to use that. All right, well, here we are. We're logged in, so it doesn't matter. But now you know how to set up multi-factor authentication for the user. So if the user calls in and I need help setting this up, now you know how to do it. This is very important when you're doing tech support. Tech support like help desk, desktop support. Anytime anybody needs help, it could be your manager, it could be CEO, it could be a director, vice president, I don't know, it doesn't matter. You can help them now. So what did we want to check as one of the things? Let's see Outlook. Outlook email, see if it's working. I don't think I've ever logged into Outlook with Bob, so I don't think there's going to be anything. It's empty. It's empty. But now let's kind of reflect back and see if anything shows up under mail. It's probably going to take 24 hours to update this, so, well, maybe not. Well, here it is right away. I was wrong. Usually it takes 24 hours for certain things to update, but now you see how it was just updating, and now we have information for Bob's email because we've actually logged in for the first time. All right. So let's do the same thing for Jasmine. Now here is Jasmine. We're going to go back to users. I'm going to find Jasmine again, and we're going to log in as Jasmine. Of course, we have to reset the password, and to do that, while we have Jasmine Long selected, we found her in Azure Active Directory. It's actually done right here. Very similar to Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So it's right here, reset password, and it's going to be slightly different when it comes to options, but the location itself is, the same. So here's a temporary password right away. It doesn't give you other options for what we shown before. And here's for comparison. If I go to here, Jasmine Long, and then select reset password, I have more options when it comes to admin center, which is why I prefer to do it in here. And I also like the dark theme. That's really cool, and it gives you more options. And the most important one here, in my opinion, is require this user to change the password when they first sign in. However, Azure Active Directory doesn't do that. It just gives me a temporary password. That's okay. Let's see if we can log in as them. Now I'm going to log out as Bob. All right, I'm going to sign out, log out, sign out, whatever's preferred method for you to call it. And let me, while that's happening, let me go back here and get Jasmine Long's email address, because we're going to use that to log in for her Office 365 work. And all right, I'm signed out as Bob. Come on, go back to login. All right, well, I guess it's not wanting to go back to the login, so I'm going to have to specify login.microsoftonline.com. I'm going to select use another account, and we're going to paste Jasmine Long's login ID. So we're going to click next. However, we haven't changed the password yet, so we're going to have to go back to changing the password. And here it is, reset password, and copy the password that we have, which is Wuku5226. And all right, let's do this. And we're going to use that password. I just did a paste of it. And now it's actually forcing me, right? Where was it forcing me? So that's good to know. And this time I'm not going to save the password in the browser because I have to change it. So I'm going to use the same password that we've just used, which is that Wuku5 something something. And then I'm going to create a new password. And I have to type it in twice. So why is this happening? Why is this different? Because Azure Active Directory is actually related to regular Microsoft Server Active Directory, which is related to the domain logins. And this is directly tied in if your company is set up to use a domain login and it be the same as your Azure Active Directory login. So you can set this up so that it's directly tied in and is part of your domain. So Active Directory, if you are familiar with Active Directory in a regular sense where you have Microsoft Server 2016, for example, 2019, it's completely separate from Office, but when they came up with Office 365 setup, where you can use Office 365 on the cloud, meaning on the internet or online, right? It's the same thing. They came up with Azure Active Directory, which is also cloud-based. But in this case, Azure Active Directory is also acting as a domain, quote unquote, domain login setup. So it's based off of that type of style, off of that architecture in the sense. However, it has the ability to add licenses and deal with Office 365. So they made it so it works with Office 365, but is very reminiscent of regular Active Directory. So this is why it's doing that. All right, I'm going to sign in. I've changed the password. I'm going to sign in as Jasmine, and then we're going to just kind of quickly go through. And notice this one didn't ask me for authenticator. So I'm assuming here that authenticator probably works on the computer level, which is something I didn't know. I thought it was going to also ask me to set up authenticator for Jasmine Long. Let me just double check my Authenticator app on my phone, and I'll tell you which ones I already have set up on my phone. And I have Irvin, I got Sally Mo, and then I've got Bob. I do not have Jasmine Long set up on my Authenticator, which is unusual, but it's something that we can certainly double check and enable in Azure Active Directory. So that's okay. Let's see if multi-factor authentication is enabled for Jasmine Long, right? And here it is. We already here. We already have found Jasmine Long. The last thing we did was reset the password, right? So I'm just going to close that over here. And here is authentication methods. This is where you would set up multi-factor authentication for somebody who doesn't have it enabled. Very important, especially if your company requires you to do this. So we're going to select authentication methods, and then we can say require and re-register multi-factor authentication, or we can select revoke MFA sessions, but we can say require and re-register multi-factor authentication. Okay, then we're going to select that, operation complete. Now let me see if it's actually going to force it, and it really should, because that would be kind of embarrassing if it didn't, right? So we're going to sign out again. And matter of fact, let me see this. I'm going to close this browser. I'm going to reopen it. And the reason I'm doing this, just to make sure that it's not browser based. It could be browser based. Anyways, we have Jasmine Long already in here, and we're going to try to log back in with Jasmine. I'm going to save the password this time because, I don't, Well, here it is. Help us protect your account. Microsoft has enabled security defaults to keep your account secure. So looks like we did enable it, which is good. And now it should ask us for authentication. Here it is. Same deal. I'm going to select next, setup. I'm going to scan the image on my app just like I did before. I got my authentication app open, and I'm going to go to add account, and I'm going to select the work or school, scan QR code, and it's activating. Please wait. All right, I'm good on my end, on my phone end, right? My smartphone has done its thing. My app has done it. And now I get a pop-up on my phone that says approve sign in. I'm going to say approve. Okay, and now it's going to approve it on the screen. There it goes. I'm going to select next. I'm going to select done. And now we have enabled multi-factor authentication for Jasmine Long as well. Now here's something that comes up: stay signed in. Do this to reduce the number of times you're asked to sign in. This is good if you're on a trusted device, meaning that you are using a device that's, for example, something that you are going to be the only one using it, and there's nobody else who has access to it. So if you work in an office, right? If you work in an office and you always lock your computer when you leave your desk, right? Let's say it's an open office where everybody can just walk by somebody's desk. If you forget to lock your computer sometimes, or this and that, and there's a chance they will stay unlocked, you can say no to this. But if you're going to lock it every time and nobody else is going to use your computer, you can just say yes, and you can say don't show this again, and you can say yes. This will reduce the amount of times it's going to ask you to sign in, which is helpful, right? And just make sure you do it on a secure in a secure environment and on a secure computer. Okay, so let's just kind of browse here. She has access to Outlook, and let's look at the other things she might have access to. Yeah, let's look at OneDrive, this and that, just to make sure that everything is fine. This is something you would do with the user. Hey, just check to see if you have access to things, if there is an issue with the license, right? This is the whole point of it. Let's try Excel. All right, looks like it's working. So that is that when it comes to this first video of refreshing Microsoft 365 knowledge. We're going to continue this series given that there are enough people interested in this. Of course, right? Of course. I always have to say this so that way I know that my time is used wisely, I'm going to teach people things that are, important. Quickly, you can check the multi-factor authentication here for Jasmine Long. So if you have Jasmine Long selected right here, right? There's also an option in Microsoft 365 Admin Center where you can check multi-factor authentication. I'm just going to close it because we've already done this. Well, let me see. Let me just see if it's any different. Um, Anyways, this all it does is just lets you enable and disable multi-factor authentication. I suppose I should have talked about this here. And here it hasn't updated yet, but we know it's enabled. It shows here that it's disabled. See, that's very interesting. This is what I was telling you about 24 hours taking effect, but I'm going to select enable here anyways, just to make sure it does that. But we know we've done it, right? And we've done it for Bob, but hasn't registered. So we're going to enable multi-factor authentication. Okay. All right. That's it, guys. I'm going to leave it at this. I don't want it to be super overwhelming, especially for new people who are joining or watching my videos. And I know I said I'm going to create a new user, and I will do that in the next video, just starting from there. It's not that complicated. It's very similar to what we've done here, and we can also do it using templates that I've created, so that way we don't have to fill out some of the other things. So I'm going to save it, and I'm sorry, I'm going to save it for the next video because this is more of like an introductory one in case of you're working some kind of a tech support where you get a phone call and they say, well, I can't get into stuff, And noticed how here it says still unlicensed, although I've changed the license for Jasmine Long. Let me do a quick refresh of this. Maybe if I refresh, it will come. Yeah, there it is. It refreshed and it registered that we've made those changes in Azure Active Directory for Jasmine. All right, so in today's video, we're going to set up a group of people. They are a deployment team for the new system that company has hired them for. There are a couple of different ways of doing this. We can do it manually, or we can use what they call a CSV file to upload them all at once with their information, which makes it a lot quicker to set them up. After that, we're going to make sure they can communicate with our finance team to make sure that this is processed and done correctly, meaning that they have to collaborate together in order to make sure that these new systems are working properly, tested. All of this that requires us to set up correctly in Azure Active Directory and Admin Center. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Kobuman. Today we're going to talk about Office 365 in a real world type of scenario. So we're going to role play that in this case you are working as Microsoft 365 administrator and your boss came to you and said, I have multiple people that we've hired for our deployment team. Deployment team in this case is going to work on installing the new systems for the company, and we have to create profiles for them inside of Office 365 and add them to correct group. So there's a way where you can do multiple users, multiple account creations at the same time, and those ways are done in two different places. One place is in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. If you go to users and then select active users and then select add multiple users, you have an option to add multiple users at once, and then there are drawbacks and there are pluses that when it comes to doing this through the Admin Center. However, you can also do this through the Azure Active Directory. So here is the other place for it, and then I will show you how to do it as well. Now, things have changed in Azure Active Directory and also Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So for those reasons, it's really good to get a refresh on this. I know last year I've actually made a video on how to add multiple users in Office 365, but things are changing and you have different options now on adding multiple users, including the use of the CSV file, which we're going to talk about. And you can do this both in Microsoft 365 Admin Center and the Azure Active Directory when it comes to CSV. So basically it's an Excel file that allows you to easily upload the information for the new users, including their first name, last name, their information, whatever else that they need when it comes to in relation to that user, things like address and phone number and all of that stuff. However, it is completely different from Azure Active Directory. This is why I'm kind of stressing it. So I will show you that the CSV file for Admin Center and the Azure Active Directory is different. Very important. Before we start doing this, please do me a favor in the comment below. Just say hello, hi, or present, sort of like a roll call in the class. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It means a lot and it helps my channel a lot too. Thank you so much. Okay, here we are. So again, we are in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. We select active users under users, and then we're going to add multiple users. Okay, and here are basically rows of things we can fill out. We got first name, we got last name, and then we got user, which is great. And then we got domain, which is basically whatever the domain this is installed on. And if you have multiple domains, you can change this. Anyways, we'll get to that. But then if you scroll down, you have an option to upload a CSV file with user information. If I select that, you get this expansion, and then you can upload the CSV file that will have all this information already pre-entered. So who would actually do this? Great example of this, if it's a good company that does this, is that you already get a CSV file from, for example, your boss or somebody else who does accounting stuff that's like HR, right? So let's say an HR department says, we've hired a bunch of these people, here's an Excel file for it. And if you are in contact with IT, hopefully they use the CSV file with predetermined parameters that will allow us to easily enter this into the system. So that's the ideal situation here, but I will show you. So here it is. We have rows of things we can fill out, and we're going to do that here. Here is an example of people that I have. We're going to use what I have, like 6 people here that are hired for our deployment team. We're going to fill out the 3 first through this system, and then we're going to do through the Azure Active Directory, we're going to do these other ones, okay? All right, so the first person is Abigail Adams. So I'm going to do copy paste action here. And of course, when you get a list of names, you can do this too. You don't have to necessarily type it in. So that way you can avoid typos. And my actual last name is really long, and it's also misspelled for the company I work for, but I just never bothered to have it. So it's good to copy paste so that way you don't make a mistake, and hopefully person who sent you the list of names didn't make a mistake either. Anyways, so we got first name filled out, and here it is, Abigail. And then we got last name filled out, and which is Adams. And for username, we always have to create one for them, and the system itself is going to check to make sure that there isn't another person with a username that's the same. So we got Abigail, so I'm going to just type in all lowercase Abigail, right? And I'm just going to do Abigail A, indicating that last name, and make sure it's all lower cases, so that way it's just easier, just how it is. And you don't want to, for example, have a capital A here or anything like that, because we're talking about a username here, and in case the system is case sensitive, we don't want to break the system, so it's always good to keep it the same format. So let's do Abigail A, and if there is another Abigail A, the system will check for that, and it will say, nope, there's already a person with that same name, same username, I should say. Well, let's, for example, type in Bob B. I think there's another Bob. See, it's already taken. Bob B is already taken, right? It's already been added. But if I do Bob B1, it's going to let me do it. Anyways, so we're going to go back to Abigail A, which is fine. So we got Abigail A, and then we've got Ken Bevel. First name Ken. Then we got Ken Bevel. All right, then we're going to do this Ken B. So, and this is straightforward. And if you wanted to switch to a different domain, you can, if there are multiple domains. In this case, there are not multiple domains. There's just one domain. So we're good there. And we've got one more, which is Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper. I know I said copy paste and I'm typing it. That's just a habit of mine. But if you want to copy paste to whatever is easier for you, please do it. So we got Ken B, and we got Alice C, and then we got Abigail A. So that's enough for me. But I got extra rows here, and I don't know if this makes a difference. If you leave them here blank like this and then select next, it's probably going to be fine. But I'm just going to click here, remove rows. 1, 2, so that way it looks clean, right? So I'm going to uncheck this. I'd like to upload CSV with user information. I'm going to uncheck that, but we will come back to it with the same users, and we're going to try to do it like that as well. Hopefully that works. Sometimes these things don't work properly, but we'll see. We're definitely going to try to do a CSV file. So here we are, we got 3 people, and that's it. This is all we can do here for multiple users. So we're going to click next, and the next thing it's going to allow us to do is add a license to them. So, like we did in the previous videos, I'm just going to pick this one because this is the only one that really works. And if your boss tells you, well, they're going to be part of deployment team and they need this type of license, then you select that type of license, right? Simple as that. You follow the instructions, just like a good employee should, right? All right, so I've got this license and I'm going to pick that. So I'm going to select next. And that's it. That's all you can do here. You cannot add any more information, their address, their phone numbers, none of that stuff. You cannot do it from here. You'd have to do it manually later, right? And that kind of sucks, right? So here is an example. Users added 3 users. If I click edit, it's just going to go back to where we were at. Click edit, and that's it. It goes back to that. You click next, select the license again, click next, and here this other added button. License is assigned. And guess what? If I click edit, it's going to take me back to licenses. That's it. It doesn't give me options to fill out anything else aside from their first, last name, and their username. So that's kind of unfortunate. And I could just click add users, but then I have to go back in manually and add their, addresses, this and that. So hopefully I'm going to go back, and I'm not going to submit this, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to remove rows here. I'm going to remove all of these. Yeah, I'm just going to remove this here. Because what I want to do here, just in case it doesn't take it properly, I'm going to say I'd like to upload a CSV with user information. So hopefully in a real life scenario, like I said, HR has, provided this for me, right? HR has provided this for me, and then we're going to try it. All right. And this is very, very finicky, so you have to be very careful on how you edit this file format, the .csv file format. And for those reasons, I'm going to use a CSV file editor. I just find it much easier. You can do this in Excel, but there are a lot of common errors that you can come across. It says here, avoid common errors, and then there's a limit of basically 249 users per CSV file. Each user must have a unique email address. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. And then email address may only use letters, numbers, and following special characters. Email address can't begin or end with period. The part of the email address before the @ symbol can have 64 characters or less, so it can't be too long. And then you have to save the CSV file with comma delimited file with 16 columns. So meaning that there are only 16 headers. So this is 1 header, 2 header, which is also known as columns going up and down like that. Okay, so we're going to do this. We can try with a CSV file that includes example user info, but we're going to start from scratch and see how that works. So we're going to download a blank CSV file with the required headers. So here we go. I'm just going to click on this, and then I'm going to open it up in my CSV editor. I prefer to use this here. So what's going to happen here, and well, first of all, let me add a row. Okay, so this will basically, well, let's do a couple more rows. Insert row, insert row. So we're going to do 3 of them here. Okay, so be very careful when you fill this out. Again, make sure it's, email, that everything's correct in the sense that emails are correct. Now, when you get this type of edited file, it may leave usernames blank. So for example, if you get this file that was edited by HR, they may not know what the username is going to be. So these are the parts you're going to have to edit and make sure that the username / email address is not being used by somebody else. And then they should be able to fill all of this other stuff out. And we're going to, of course, do it here as well as part of the example. And you can, what was I going to say? You can edit this with Excel, but only Excel that's for desktop. Only the desktop version of Excel. The online version of Excel, the cloud-based one, on the web-based one, cannot save as .csv. Okay, and for those reasons, I just prefer to use this editor because it's cleaner, and I like the kind of pseudo 3D look to it. It's just much nicer and easier on the eyes, in my opinion. All right, so username And we have to make sure that we are going to do the same thing as we did over here. So here is the username. So this is the part where we tell it which email / username address we're going to do. Same thing as here that we were saying. Okay, so we're just going to do, first one is Abigail, so it's going to be all lowercase, Abigail, and then we're going to do A, just like we did before, and then we're going to do at cosmicnovo.onmicrosoft.com. Okay, I was just making sure that I was recording there. And then first name, of course, we're going to type in Abigail as normal. Last name Adams. Display name, again, we're going to follow the same type of format. So it's Abigail Adams. And let's just say she likes to be called Abby. Why not? Job title, we're going to make her lead. Basically, I'm just going to leave it as lead for that deployment department. And then here we are at the department part of it. So I'm going to type in deployment. Office number, we're going to have to come up with something here, and we're going to use the same for the other people that are in the same deployment team. Basically, they are hired to do a deployment for this system, and we're going to put them in one large office where they're all in the same room, basically. So they're going to have 3 to 6 desks, we'll see. And we're going to call it office number 4123. They're going to be on the 4th floor. Office phone number, we're going to call it, I don't know, 555, just like we always do, 555-5555. Okay, so that's just something to have, right? And you can fill all this out. I'm going to leave this blank just like I did before for individual users when we tested this in the previous videos. So I'm not going to put in mobile phone number. And you can, of course you can. And then we have alternative email address. And we could fill all this out. But let's pretend Abigail works for some kind of a contractor that they're working in. We're going to call it at contractco.com. So we're going to have that in there, and we're going to fill out the address, and we're going to say it's 4200 Happy Lane. Of course it's made up. And then we're going to say city, we're going to say New York, and we're going to say NY for the state. Zip code, I don't know what New York zip codes are, so I'm just coming up with numbers here. But we're doing this for example. And then we got a country or a region, and we're going to type in United States. Because remember, over there, it's actually spelled out United States. So if it's other country, you're going to have to spell it out. Okay, so we're done with this. Oops, I deleted it. United States. Okay, and then we're going to add the other users. Other people that are going to work. I'm just going to extend this right here. So the next person is Ken Bevel. So it's Ken B at cosmicnovo.on Microsoft.com. First name Ken Bevel. And I'm going to fill all this out, so there's 3 of them. I'm going to speed this up in the video and then get back to you, okay? Okay, so here we are. We have filled out the first 3 users. We got Abigail, we got Ken, and then we got Alice Cooper. So we've filled all this out. As you can see, I've made some changes, changed the system, changed job titles or roles, and then I made sure that they're all labeled as in deployment department. And then we've got all of this stuff. And we're going to double check to make sure this is actually plugged in whenever we upload this to add multiple users. Okay, so I'm going to save as, and I'm gonna save it in my new hires folder. I'm gonna call it deployment team. Again, make sure it's CSV file format. I'm gonna save. Let's go back to our system here, and then we're going to click browse, and then we're going to select our deployment.csv file. We're going to click open, and hopefully works as long as we've done everything correctly. And it's not working. So what's going on here? Why is it not working? Let's go over this here. It says you can upload up to 249 users per CSV file. We've done that. And each user must have a unique email address. Email address may only use letters, numbers, and following special characters. Email address can't begin or end with period. The part of email address before the @ symbol can have 64 characters or less. Okay, we're good there. And then we have to save as comma delimited file with 16 columns. All right, so that's the thing that we have to see here. Is it 16 columns? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15, 16. So it's 16 columns. We're good there. We've filled this out. Maybe it doesn't like this part of it. Maybe it's not detecting that properly. New York, alternative address, mobile phone. Should be fine if we leave this blank. Office number. Okay, department deployment. Job titles are okay. Display names are okay. First, last name. And this is at Cosmic Novo on Microsoft.com. Is this one Cosmic Novo on Microsoft.com? This one is Cosmic Novo on Microsoft.com. So maybe that was the problem. Let's go ahead and update our CSV file. Okay, we're gonna see if that worked. Click open. And that, sure enough, that's what it was. So I'm glad that that happened. So that goes to show that you have to be very careful, and especially in this case, if there is no domain. In this case, you know, if this was misspelled without the O, this domain doesn't exist. And that was the problem here. And of course, here it is. We know that this domain exists, and the system knows it's not going to create the user login or / email address if the domain doesn't exist. So you have to be very, very careful when you fill this out. Okay. All right. So far, so good. Let's click next. All right. And here it is. Select the location and product licenses for 3 users you're adding. So this is great news so far. That means it does see 3 users that we're adding. And we're going to stick with our Microsoft 365 8.3 license that we have. That's fine. We are going to make some modifications because we don't want them to have access to other stuff. So we're going to make sure that I'm going to deselect all. So I'm going to only give them access to Teams and Outlook for now, because we don't know how long these people are going to work on this deployment, right? So we're going to scroll down and we're going to add Exchange. So that's for Outlook. All right. And then we're going to look for Teams here. Microsoft Teams. And what else do they need? Well, that's it. I think I'm going to keep it at that for now. And if they need more, we can certainly go back in and make changes. Okay. Yeah, that's all I'm going to give them for now. And that should let them, they should be enough for them to get going. Of course, you can modify this. This is just what I choose to do for my system. Okay, so far so good. We've done all of this. We're going to click Add Users. And let's see what happens. All right, cool. So looks like it's working. We got display name here for the Abby. That works fine. We got for Kevin, and then we got for Alice. And looks like their usernames transferred correctly. We got passwords. We can click here, show passwords. And here are their temporary passwords. Excuse me. So I'm going to leave these passwords available here. So if you guys want to go in and log in as these people, that's fine by me and for testing purposes. So whoever gets them first That's fine. You know, just for testing purposes, you can go in and test these out. And we have licenses that were added successfully to the right, which is great. I like to see all of this. So users are now added, and then we can email them sign-in information if we want to. And here it is. If I happen to be the guy who's going to give this out, which is Irvin, right, at cosmicnovo.onmicrosoft.com, I would send an email like this, and it will send me all of this information. And we're going to check it out. Why not? If I was to be the one who's going to distribute this, if working for this company, then I can send this and forward this email to the group or whoever the manager is. And I think in this case we made Abby the manager. Again, you guys, if you want to log in and send me an email to this here, and if I remember, I'm going to check it out, and I'm gonna, you're gonna be on the video, basically, is what I'm trying to say, on the next video. So go ahead and send me an email on this, and yeah, let me know. Or even in the comments below, let me know if you were able to get this. And, it's kind of some fun thing to do. So we're going to close this. And here we are. We see them in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Here's Abby. Here's Alice. Here's Bob Bobson. But again, we have a couple of more things we need to do. We need to add them to the deployment team, as in Microsoft Teams. So that's the next thing we're going to do here. All right, so we're going to open up Azure Active Directory just to double check to see if this kind of went through. And I suggest you do this as well, just to make sure that everything is working that you're doing. Just kind of double checking your work. Again, here we are at Azure Active Directory. I selected users, and here is Abigail, here is Alice, and here is Bob. And we can do the same thing that we do with the other users in the same manner. All right, so let's go to Azure Active Directory right here. We're going to select groups just to see if we have a group called deployment team. And we do, because I've created it ahead of time. And we can talk about creating groups and other things in the future videos. But for now, I went ahead and just created this, so that way we can get going with this video for this role-playing scenario where we are adding people to the deployment team group, so they can get going as soon as possible. Like I said, we're going to talk about creating groups in the future video. So here's our deployment team. We have to add these people to the deployment team. So I'm going to select this, and we're going to do it this time through the Azure Active Directory instead of through Exchange, which is fine. And then it's very simple here. Who are these people? Well, they are members. So we're going to click on members, and we're going to add them as members to this deployment team group, which should grant them access to the Teams version of that. Okay, so we're going to click on members, and looks like I'm the only member of this, which is Irvin. That's okay. We're going to click add members. And here are some people who showed up. The last people that we've added. Here is Abigail. Here is Alice. But you know who I don't see is Ken. That's okay. But let's kind of go down the line here. We got Abigail. Here's Abigail. And we have Alice. We're going to add her. Let's scroll down. Maybe here's, let's do a quick, well, we can do a search. Well, here's Ken. Here's Ken. We found Ken. All right, so we got 3 people selected here. We're going to click select. And 3 group members successfully added. So if I refresh, like I said, if I refresh, there they are. It took a second there. That's okay. Now we've got them added as members. Now let's go to Teams and see if they are actually in there. We're going to go to Teams. You can access it through Microsoft Admin Center here. We're going to go through Teams and see what we see, right? See what we see inside of Teams. Okay, so this is Teams Admin Center, which is not to be confused with Teams that are Teams that you use as a user, right? So this is where I manage Teams instead of using Teams as in communication device. Okay, so and we showed that in a previous video as well. So we're going to select on teams right up here, right? We got users, and maybe we can manage users, but I'm going to manage teams here. So the first option here, come on, I don't know why it's disappearing like that. Manage teams, and we've got our deployment team right down here. We're going to check to see if everything went through deployment team, and we can check the members. Here they are. Alice, Abigail, and Ken are in there as well. So that's great, and they're listed as members, and Irvin is listed as the owner. So that's perfectly fine. That means we can use, they can use Teams to do communications, and we can add other people to this. So let's say we want to add somebody from finance department, because in this case we're going to keep going with the finance team. They're deploying a system for a finance team department. So for that, we're going to add a member in there. So by selecting add members here through the teams admin center. So again, remember we just did it through the Azure Active Directory. So this is the same thing, except we're doing it through Teams. So we're going to add one person that is a manager from finance department. We're going to add them into this group so they can collaborate. Okay, so we're going to search display, and I forget who my team, I was going to say who my team lead is, but who my manager, I think it's Sally, right? Guys, remember Sally? We've done this. There she is. Sally Moe. We're going to add Sally Moe, and sure enough, she's the manager. And we've talked about Sally in my early Office 365 videos that I've made, and we created her. Apply. There we go. We've added Sally into the system, and she is the finance department manager, and she can now communicate at the same time with these people that are inside of the same deployment group. So she's added in there, she's inside of Teams, and she can communicate with them. And we can certainly check this. Well, let me see how we can do this. Let's do. I'm going to open up in a different sign in. I'm going to sign in as Sally because we already have her. Sally Moe. Where's sign in Sally? Here's Sally Moe. We're going to sign in as her. We're going to go to Teams. Okay, I got to use my authenticator. All right, if you heard that, that's authenticator asking me to approve. So this is a multi-factor authentication that we've set up before. All right. So in this case, Sally is pretend doing this. So here we are. We're going to go to Teams, and we're going to log in as her. All right, Sally Moe. And now when we go in, it should just appear just like normal for all the versions that she has access to. And sure enough, she is part of finance group. She's also part of collab group, and here she is part of also deployment team. So automatically it's added to her teams. Here's a notification here. Let's see what it says. It says Irvin added you to the deployment team, which is just lovely and perfect, right? So if when she goes to the deployment team, she can chat with them. Let's just kind of see. This is in finance group. You can see she was chatting with them, blah, blah, blah. We can see in the previous video that Johnny Depp joined. And, you know, if she goes back to the Teams and then clicks deployment, we can see that nobody is here yet. And I'm going to say, as Sally, I'm going to say, welcome to our company. Looking forward to working with you. All right, I am terrible at spelling because English is my second language. All right, that's okay. Thank God for spell checker, right? All right, we got, yeah, that. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I apologize. I know I said I was going to add these other ones as well, but I feel like this video is kind of getting too long. So we're going to leave it for something else. So in the next video, we're going to work on that. And yeah, so what are the key takeaways from this? Is that you can add multiple users. Make sure that you're using the correct deployment team. Well, I was reading this here. To make sure you use correct file format, which is .csv, when using these templates, and that make sure that everything is spelled correctly, especially the domain here. So this most likely you will be the one who's going to create usernames. So even when you do get this file from HR, you're going to have to create these. So if it's not working, most likely the spelling of domain is broken and it's not correct. You can also do the same thing through the Azure Active Directory. If we go back to the Azure Active Directory users and then do select bulk operation, and if we say bulk create, right, with bulk create, we can also download a CSV template and we can do the same stuff and then upload it. So you can do this through the Azure Active Directory as well, and it's done very much the same way. I think the template might be slightly different. I don't know if they changed this or not, but it's not a big deal. You do it the same way as we've done it over here as well. The best way to learn Office 365 is by learning real life scenarios. And that's where we're going to keep doing with this series. All right, let's get into it because we have a lot to learn. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Koboman. We're going to continue from the last video just like we normally do so that everything ties together so it's easy to follow. So if you're finding this video for the first time, there are 3 other videos in the series and they're marked P1, P2, and P3. This one is part 4. So I highly suggest you watch all of those if you haven't, because everything ties in, because it's basically a course, right? So we're going to continue with that. Last time we added multiple users through Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and we've used a CSV file to do so, and we added Abigail here, we added Alice, and then we also added Ken Bevel. I'm going to continue doing this in Azure Active Directory, and it's slightly different in Azure Active Directory, but it's also a bit more advanced, but it's going to be easy to understand because, like I said, everything ties in together so that if you've never used Office 365, you can learn this easily. So I purposely designed it like that. So we're going to do what they call bulk operation in here as well, but we got also other options. We got bulk invite, bulk delete, and download users. We're going to touch on all of these except invite in this video because we have a scenario which we have orders from our manager to perform certain actions. And in this case, we're going to start with bulk create. So this also involves a CSV template, CSV file, which we're going to edit. Before we start doing that, please do me a favor in the comment below. Just say hello, hi, or present, sort of like in the class as a roll call. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It helps a lot. So last time, here is our notepad. We've added these 3 in here using a CSV file that was done through Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Now we're going to do it through Azure Active Directory. Okay, so since we've already added these 3, we're going to delete them, and then we're going to add these other 3. Okay, so just like we did last time, we're going to download the CSV template, and now we're going to take that file, then we're going to open it up in Excel. In the last video, if you remember, I showed you how to edit this inside of CSV editor, and you can also do it in Excel. It just has to be a desktop version of Excel. And for that, I had to switch over to my remote computer, which has the license for Office. All right, that's okay. I'm just going to spread these columns out a little bit here so it's easier to read. We're not going to fill out everything, just the things that we've done. Basic things like, name, username, address, passwords, and etc. So here it is. Here is an example. It gives you an example of the people that you can enter, and we're just going to get it going. Here it is. First person is Zane Gray, and in the first column we've got a display name, so that's going to be Zane Gray, and I'm just going to leave it at that because that's what he prefers. It's Grey, okay. And then username. Now this is the critical part of it. It's going to fail because this stuff is very finicky, very sensitive. So you got to be very, very careful on how you put this in. So username is the same thing as you see in Azure Active Directory, or the same thing that you see inside of Microsoft 365 admin panel. You just have to make sure that you're using the correct domain name for the person that you're creating. So it has to be something like this. In this case, we're going to type in Zane G at cosmicnovo.on microsoft.com. And it has to be correct. This domain name has to be perfectly correct. And you also have to make sure there are no spaces before or after the username, because this is what they're going to use to log in to Office 365. So this is very, very crucial that you set this up correctly. And here is the password field. We can leave it as this, which is fine. My password 1234. They're going to be prompted to replace it. If you want to make it something else, for example, new user 1, that's fine too. And like I said, they're going to change it. They're going to be forced to change the password next time they try to log in. Block sign in, no, because we want them to sign in. First name is Zane, and then last name is Gray. So this is very self-explanatory. Job title, let's see what we're going to make a job title. Let me compare it to one of our people here. Let's compare it inside of Azure Active Directory. We're going to get back to the part where we're going to do a bulk upload. But here is Abigail. Remember, she was the first one we've set up initially. And if you select on her, you can see a bunch of things about her in Azure Active Directory, meaning like details and stuff that we're basically filling out, like job titles, address, and phone numbers. Here's the first thing we have done, which is display name right here. Obviously, here is first name and last name, and here is that here is the username, which is also known user principal name. This is what they use to log in. Very important. And here is her title right here. So she's lead, and well, we already have one lead. Let's check out the other one. Let's check out Alice, because I've used, okay, sysadmin. So we're going to use the same thing, and we're going to use the same address as well. So I'm going to copy that ahead of time because they are in the same office, if you recall. So job title is going to be sysadmin, because if you remember, they are part of our deployment team, which is going to go inside of department name. Deployment team. And we've got usage, location. Just a moment. Let me spread this out here a little bit so we can easier see. And we got street address, which is where we're going to set up. I'm not going to worry about user's location. You can submit all of this without having to fill out everything, but I do want to fill out the address and stuff. So I did a copy paste here, but it didn't do it good. That's fine. Let's see if that works. New York, country, United States, and just a moment here. Office physical delivery, I'm not worried about that. City is New York. What did we use for zip code over there? Let's check that out. We used 64952, which honestly, I don't know if it's a real zip code in New York, but that's okay. And then for phone number, I think I use 555, 555, 5555. Okay, I'm just going to stretch this out here a little bit. And that's it. Those are the options we have. And I think this office physical part is the office number right here. Physical delivery. And what did we have for that here? 4123 4123 4123. Okay. So we'll see if this takes the formatting. It's very very sensitive, very finicky. So we'll see if it takes this different font that I've put in here, but we'll see. So we're going to save it as save as. This is very very important. I'm going to save it to desktop for now, and I'm going to make sure that it's saved under CSV, comma delimited or delimited. Delimited. I think it's pronounced delimited. So basically, what that means is that at CSV, it's going to take in account commas to create columns and separation, I should say, in overall. So make sure that save type is selected as this, otherwise it's not going to work. And I'm going to name it deployment team tier 2. Tier 2. So I'm going to save it as that. And it says here, some features of workbook might be lost if you use it, if you save it as CSV comma delimited. That's fine. You want to keep using this format. So I'm going to save it as, and I'm going to fill out these other ones so we have more to put in. And then I'm going to save it again. I'm just going to click save because you already knows what kind of format I have. So I'm going to fill all this out with these two other people, and I'm going to speed that up, and then we're going to continue with bulk upload. All right, so I've got it all filled out. We got Zane, we got Tony, and then we got Regina. So I'm gonna just click save. Everybody knows, as you can see, and I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of that. Here is a little space here before NO. I'm gonna leave that to see actually if it's going to be a problem when I upload it, but just keep that in mind. I'm gonna copy it into my new hires folder. So we got tier 2, deployment team tier 2. I misspelled that. It's DEP. All right. And we're going to go back here to users. We're going to do bulk operation, bulk create. We're going to select that file, tier 2, and hopefully everything goes well. File upload successful. I'm going to click submit, and it's going to think about it, and it's going to tell me if it was successful. So it's working on that right now, and it's going to tell me whether there's an error or not. So yeah, again, I highly suggest you go back and watch the previous video if you haven't, because everything ties into it. And in this situation, I am just kind of going forward. While this is happening, we will talk about some other bulk things that we can do that are very important, that are real type of situations that can happen to you. So make sure you watch the whole video because it's very important. All right, it's still in progress, and there it is. It failed. Some of the stuff failed. Let's see what happened here. Request was unsuccessful. Details: the domain portion of the user principal is invalid. You must use one of the valid domain names in your organization. So did I mess that up? I'm going to open this again and see. I thought I messed up this one. Oops. So we're going to have to edit. Sure enough, Microsoft. Wow, I actually made the same or similar mistake in my previous video. I'm tired, guys. I'm sorry. Okay. Hopefully that's the last error. So here it is. We're going to try it again. Submit. So there are many ways to do this. You can do it manually. You can do it like I shown in the previous video, where you just do it through the interface inside of user, inside of the all right, it failed again. Let's see what the problem is now. The username and uploaded file matches the username of existing user in your Azure Active Directory. Change the username in the file or change the username of existing user and resubmit your request. Let's download task to see what kind of errors we get. So what happened was actually it added the last person that was messed up, but while I was doing the bulk upload, it tried to re-add the ones that were successful. So on the first attempt, it actually added the first two and failed the second one. So this is why you have these tools, right? If you download tasks here, it'll give you more details and tell you exactly which line has been broken. So if I go back here and open this here, you can see that the error, remember the error was actually on this one that we had to edit. And while we were bulk uploading these other ones, they went through just fine, but this one didn't. So I fixed this one, upload a second time, and it gave me error for these first two because they're already in the system. However, this one succeeded. And this is also shown here as well. You see that? Success. So that is fine. We're going to go back and look for these users. If I go back to users, and let's see who was one of the people we've added. Here is Regina. Regina was the last person that we've just added, the one that had an issue, which was, yeah, Regina right here. So she's in the system. Let's see if everything went through. Here is her job title, sysadmin. Here is her address, zip code, phone number. That is all successful. But what about those first two? Let's look for them. So let's see Zane. I can't see him, so he's probably down there. There he is. There he is. Here is Zane Gray. Sysadmin. Street address. Okay, great. Users. And then we've got... Who was the other person that we've added? Tony Helme. Tony Helme. Here's Tony. So they're all in here right away. So I want to make sure you guys see this type of thing where you can see these type of errors, and I don't want you to get confused. I want you to use the log file, which is conveniently not named the log file, right? And here, just so you can double check, here are the people that we've added, and I wanted to make sure that you see those errors and those log files, right? So all right, that's cool. We've finished our first part of it. And let's go back to here. I just want to show you again. It's download tasks, right? Then you select the task that you want to see. And then you can download tasks and get a visual of it, right? You get a visual of it and it shows you all of that stuff. And you can also see it here, obviously, which part of it failed. So let's do bulk delete. Well, why would you want to do this? Well, sometimes you want to do some cleanup in the system. Sometimes HR will send a list of people that were let go, fired or left the company. So this can happen, once a month, and you have to do some maintenance. So you'll get a bulk delete order to delete people from the system to, keep everything organized. If you're working as admin, using Azure Active Directory, these are one of the things you'll be doing. And for this, of course, you're going to use a CSV template. So we're going to download it and we're going to edit it inside of Excel. So what do we need to delete a user? We simply just need their username. We don't need anything else. And this is what you're seeing here. We don't need any other details, which makes it a lot easier. So you'll get a list of people who are getting deleted. And in this case, we're going to just delete Chris. We have Chris in the system. Chris, I think his name is Chris Green. So I'm going to add Chris G here. And I'm going to make sure that his username is correct. Cosmicnovo dot on Microsoft.com. So as long as he's in the system, this username, we're going to be able to delete it. So in this case, this part of it, you may have to do yourself manually because HR may not have usernames. Probably not, because it's a security thing, you know what I mean? But they will have a list of names, so that you'll get a file, email, and one of them would be, Christopher Green. Then here he is, Chris Green. chrisg@cosmicnovo on Microsoft.com. You can also just copy, or you can delete him from here too, right? But I'm just showing you how to get this information. So, hopefully, I mean, I know this is kind of like defeating the purpose of HR having to do it, but it will be part of your job. So practice makes perfect, and however you can organize it easily, and then maybe you can do this quickly. Maybe there's another person who can just send you a bunch of usernames that need to be deleted, or you may have to do this manually. Anyways, let's test it out to see how it works. Because like I said, this might be part of your job. So save as, I'm going to save it to desktop, and I'm going to make sure it's a CSV, comma, delimited, and I'm going to call it delete users template. Sure, why not? I'm just going to create a new folder called delete add users. I'm going to go inside, I'm going to copy paste, or I'm going to paste, I should say, the template that we've just created. So let's test that out here. We're going to go to users, bulk operation, bulk delete, and I'm going to upload the CSV from deleted folders, deleted users. Okay, and it says here, are you sure you want to perform the delete operation? I'm going to type in yes. I'm going to click submit. I'm going to wait for it and see what the system says, but it's very simple, so there really isn't a whole lot you can make a mistake on. I'm pretty sure you cannot use the same templates for everything. Like, for example, if I was to use the previous template, and this says here that it was successful, which is great, and we're going to double check that, but you can't use the same templates for these same type of operations, and it's for the best, so that way you don't make a mistake. All right, let's go to users. Let's look for Chris G. Yeah, he's gone. So we've deleted him, and that's how you do bulk operation. Of course, if you wanted to add more people, you just go back here and just keep adding usernames. Just keep adding them, save it, put it in there, and just boom, done. So the last thing I want to talk about is downloading users. Well, why would you want to download users? Let's say your manager comes to you and he says, okay, I need a list of all people. I need list of all people who are part of deployment team, because we need to change their access, or we are going to grant them some kind of access to certain systems. So the way you do this, you actually would have to go to Azure Active Directory and go to groups. This is the easiest way to do it. So go to groups. So again, Azure Active Directory groups, and then here is our deployment team. We're going to click on deployment team, right? Then we're going to click on members, and then we're going to select the bulk operation, and we're going to download members. So this way we can provide a list of all of these people. Again, let's do this again. So Azure Active Directory, go back to that, select groups. So your boss says, I need a list of all the people that work in deployment team. So it's all groups, and then select deployment team, or whichever team that he tells you to grab. And then select members, because you're looking for members. And then we're going to select bulk operation. I'm going to say download members. Okay. And I'm just going to click start. It's going to create another CSV, and it's going to have their information. We can just take that information and we can send it over via email, or that's probably the best way to do it, I suppose. And so that manager has this information, or maybe manager wants it plugged into some kind of a shared document. We can do that too. So here it is. It says operation ready, and it says file is ready. Click here to download. So I am downloading it, and here it is. We have downloaded. I'm going to open it up, and as you can see, here is the list. I apologize for that. Here we go. Just stretching it out a little bit. Here is the list of all the details about each person, right? Including their IDs in the system, their unique identifier IDs. and here's their principal names, meaning their user login IDs, their display names, object this and that, So this is just a list of people. And you can do the same thing for just users. And let's try that. But, if you want just to, do a quick, download of specific group, that's how you would do it. But if you do a download users here, you can download the entire Active Directory if you really wanted to, or you can do some add filter action, and then I'm going to say department, and I'm going to start with deployment. So this is going to filter all the deployment people, and you can do bulk operation here and select download users. And I'm going to call it, let's see, deployment. Let's see if it's going to download it without actually having to select all of them. That's a good test. So I'm going to do a download. All right, if it works without selecting any of them, that's great. We may have to go in and do a check mark on all of these, but let's give it a shot if it's smart enough to actually do this. Hopefully it doesn't download entire Active Directory, but if you happen to start to download entire Active Directory, then you will know. Okay, this is done. All right, file is ready. Let's click it open. And here it is. That worked perfectly. So the difference is you got a little bit more information here if you do it from the users. You got their, street address and all this information that's inside of their use, that's, there. All the information that you have. But if you just want to download their names, go through groups and then download it. In today's video, we're going to emulate a daily workload for somebody who works Office 365 administration. So that way you can get a really good idea of what to expect on these types of jobs. Now, this is just the first part of it. There are other workloads we can talk about, and that's going to be in the future videos. But for today, we're going to concentrate on this workload that we need to complete, which was ordered to us by our superiors. Let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Kobuman. Today we're going to continue with our Office 365 series. Make sure if you haven't watched previous videos, which is first 3 parts of this series, make sure you go back and watch them because everything ties into this. Today's session is going to be very similar to the other ones, where we are basically working the system as if you were somebody who got hired to do this. Here is our work order. We got to assign roles. We got roles to assign and set up. And for the first part of it, we got a new hire named Murta Noyan. We need to set him up as a printer administrator because they are now local tech support. They got hired to be a local tech support at that location. We also got to give them a role of Teams device admin. Second part is going to be a role assignment for billing administrator to a finance manager. And then we're going to have a new hire that we need to create, which is for a person named Tracy Moore. And we need to give them a global reader because they got assigned to work as Help Desk Tier 2 representative. And then we got Larry Bird, he got promoted to help desk manager. We got to make those changes as well. So there is quite a bit to talk about here. However, I'm going to stick to the part where you are actually doing this as somebody who is going to work this job and explain it to you in such a way where it makes sense. This is a real life type of scenario where you would come to work and they give you assignment and they say you got to do this job, so get to it basically. You know what I mean? We got to work, guys. We got to work. All right, so we're going to set up a new hire first. Oh yeah, before I forget, please in the comments below just say hello, hi, or present, just to let me know that you are here and watching, sort of like in the classroom, Okay, all right, let's get to it. Thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. So we got to set up a new hire, right? That's the first thing. And it's Murta Noyan. So we're going to do most of these things from Microsoft 365 Admin Center, but we will go to Azure because I want to show you some things that are related to printers later on. So we're going to do this from Microsoft 365 Admin Center. We're going to set up a user. We're just going to click user here, and we're going to type in Murta Noyan. By the way, these names are from my help desk videos, which by the way will be available on the next session. Right now I'm taking turns. I'm making Office 365 and the next one is going to be help desk. So we have done this before in previous videos where we create new users. It's very simple, so I'm just going to fly through it. You know, you set up first name, last name, their display name, their username. Make sure it's not taken up by somebody else, and it's not, otherwise it would be an error. Set up a simple password for them and leave this checked where it says require user to change their password, so they can change the password. If you want to send the password to yourself so you can forward to somebody else, you can do that too. So if you want to do that, then click here, make sure this is checked. Otherwise, just tell them what it is, click next. We're going to just assign them a standard license that everybody else gets, in this case Microsoft 365 A3 for faculty. We're going to click next, and through here you can see we can set up roles, and we're certainly going to do that. We have a couple of roles we can set up, and there are two different ways of doing it. We're going to set up printer admin through here. So we're going to assign that role through here, through roles, which is right here while we are creating the account. You can do all this while you're creating the account, and that's probably the best way to do it in my opinion. However, you can also do it through the roles tab, and I'll show you this. We're going to set up printer admin through here, and then Teams device admin, we're going to set it up through the roles tab. Okay, so let's set up the first one, which is going to be the, printer admin. I'm going to expand roles. So if you just click on expand roles, you have to click admin center access. Okay, and then scroll down, and then we're going to look for printers, where is it? Printer administrator. So it's under devices here. Printer administrator. So what does printer administrator do? You get to manage network printers and connectors, configure printer access and preferences, manages printer status in queues, and accepts admin consent permissions. So basically you get full control of the printers. This is a full admin control of the printers. Now these printers are universal print printers, meaning that they are connected to Azure Cloud, not necessarily Azure Active Directory, but Azure Cloud, and I will show you this. So what is this about? This universal print is about being able to access printers anywhere in the world, basically. So let's say you are a mobile worker, or I should say remote worker. I think that's the popular name now. If you're a remote worker and you're going from one place to another, you can literally go to a coffee shop, connect to the VPN, or not even the VPN. I mean, I guess if you have to, you connect to the VPN. But anyways, you would log into your Microsoft Office 365 account, and you from there, if you needed to print something, you can print over the cloud to that printer that is set up. You see how this is tied in? This person that got hired is a local tech support that's going to have direct access to that printer. Universal print is going to be something that users can use, so that way they can print to that printer from anywhere in the world. Okay, so we got to give this new user Murta needs to have access to printer administration so that he can manage these printers, so he can add them, test them, whatever he needs to do, because he's local tech support and he's got direct access to that printer. Now there is an option here for printer technician, but as you can see here, printer technician can only register and unregister printers and update printer statuses. They cannot manage network printers and connectors. They cannot configure printers access and preferences, this and that and all this other stuff, right? So we need to give them full printer administrator access. Okay, so we're going to close this. Okay, we're going to go further down because we need to add profile info. Okay, so we're done with the roles here, but we're going to add profile, and we're going to give them a title of whatever your manager tells you, whatever HR tells you the title is. But in this case, we're going to say tech support analyst, department, IT. I'm going to type in local tech support in parentheses. Office, we're going to come up with the office number. Let's just say 6500. Phone number, that's good enough for me. But again, whatever they give you, this is what you would be filling out. Street address, where is this on-site location? So let's come up with a number. I don't know, address I should say. We're going to say Fresca, 8900 Fresca Lane. Why not? City, New York. New York. I got to spell out New York as in city, New York as in state, zip code. I don't know any of those zip codes, but again, you're going to make sure that you fill out this correct information while you're doing this job, because this is definitely your job. So all I did was click next and we're done here. We're going to click finish adding. We're going to select close. All right, so now we're going to set up the Teams device admin, but before we do that, we have to make sure that universal print is enabled and working. Now, this is how you would do it. Let's pick just a random person. Here is Abigail Adams. Matter of fact, let's do somebody, Mike Moser. Mike Moser. And we're going to select Mike Moser here, and we're going to make sure that he's got a license to use universal print. So where would you go to this? Well, of course, where it says licenses and apps, we're going to scroll down. We're going to expand this where it says apps on the bottom. We're going to expand this, and we're going to look for universal print and make sure it's enabled. Universal print. There it is. It's enabled for him, so that's great. This is just for Mike Moser, a user, to be able to use universal print. This is a license that you have to pay extra to use per user. Okay, so this is just for user to be able to use universal print, so they can use printing function anywhere and print over the cloud. So what is the thing that we've just installed? This printer admin thing. Well, it's for universal print, but it's actually located in Azure cloud. So let's go to Azure Active Directory. And notice this is Active Directory. This is not the same Azure, what I'm talking about. This is Azure Active Directory Admin Center. What we're looking for is just straight up Azure. So what I'm going to do is going to delete this. So it's a different URL to set up printers. I'm going to delete all of this. And I'm just going to go to portal.azure.com. And from here, if we click on this hamburger sign, we can see that we got all different things, including virtual machines, other stuff that's related to cloud computing. And this is where universal print is set up. Now, don't be scared. Don't be scared. I know this is technically outside of Office 365 and Office 365 Azure Active Directory, right? So, although technically Azure Active Directory is separate from Office 365 in a sense too, but it's okay. I don't want to confuse. This is different Azure, but it's okay. It's very simple. So we're going to look for universal print and see what we can do. And well, there it is. Recent services. I went in and looked for universal print, but you can just type in universal print and look for it. And so once we select this, we can manage printers from here. So I don't have any setup right now. This function only works on Windows 10 and up. I believe this I don't think this is going to work on Windows 7, Windows 8, and whatever other versions they have. I think 8.1 or something like that. And this type of universal print is supported with specific printers, but you can also download this thing called download a connector that allows you to connect printers that don't even have a built-in support for universal print. So this is something you can set up. And from here, you can manage printers. Right now, we don't have any, and I don't even have a license for it, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. I don't have any printers installed anyways. But this is what, in this case, Murta would be doing. You know, Murta would be managing these things, and that's fine. He would control printer shares, connectors, and all that. He or she, I'm not sure. I apologize. But either way, gentleman or a lady, whoever's hired to do this will be able to manage this. And let me see, I just want to make sure that everything else is set up when it comes to printer and that I've talked about everything. Okay, I think that's that. Again, just make sure that people who are using, if somebody comes to you and says, I can't use a universal print, just go in here. Let's see if Abigail has access. We're going to go to Abigail, licenses and apps. We're going to expand the apps. Okay, see how we made restrictions to Abigail because she's part of our deployment team. She doesn't have access to universal print. But if we want to make sure that it's working for her, we're going to make sure it's checked like this and save changes. And now Abigail can use universal print. All is great. All right, so now we need to set up Teams device administration and assign it to Myrta. Why? Well, I'll show you. Let's first assign this role. So again, we could have done it when we were setting up the account, but from here, we're just going to do it through our roles tab. Roles tab, is it here? There it is, up here. And you have to expand it. If it's not visible, you have to expand it, this group, this column, so it shows more options. But if you don't see it, just click down there and you'll expand it. So here's roles. Click on roles, and then we've got role assignments. So click on role assignments, right? You can do it from here. So what is it again? Teams device admin. We're going to type in Teams device administrator. Here it is, Teams device administrator. So you guessed it, we're going to just click on that, and then we're going to click on assigned, and then we're going to click add users, and then we're going to add the person we've just created, which is Myrta. Here we go, select that, and then add. Now Myrta can control Teams devices inside of Teams. So let's talk about that. What are these Teams devices? What is this? So these are physical devices that you can control and do changes. Well, these are let's check it out. So let's go to Teams. Here is our Teams. It's loading. And once we load, we're going to make sure that we see this left column here. If you click on the little hamburger icon, and we're going to go to Teams devices. Teams, in case you don't know what Teams is, basically a place where people can collaborate, sort of like a Discord chat with a lot of other functions. Part of that is controlling devices that are set up in, for example, a conference room, or any devices that are set up in a building on site. Remember, we hired that person to be on-site tech support. So if we expand Teams devices, we can see some things that we can control. For example, here is an example of Teams rooms on Windows. Teams rooms on Windows. And it says here, control and manage Teams rooms and Windows devices such as consoles, microphones, cameras, displays in your organization. You can configure settings, view activity information, manage updates, set up alert rules, and perform diagnostics to help with troubleshooting. So this is kind of self-explanatory. Imagine a conference room or just a room or any devices that are connected in the building. Some devices, for example, company I work for, we have TVs that are every corner of the room. You can imagine it's a big office with a bunch of cubicles. And of course, conference rooms. And if you want to control consoles, microphones, cameras, and displays in your organizations, this is where you would be able to do it. And then we got things, for example, Teams rooms on Android. This is just controlled on devices. So when somebody logs in with their Teams on their team, because you can install Teams on your Android or iOS, you can install Teams and you can control some, aspects of that. Then we've got, for example, Surface Hubs. Surface Hubs Surface Hubs offer an all-in-one digital whiteboard meeting platforms and collaborative computing experience. So it's just another device that's used in meetings and such. And then we've got panels. We all know that what panels are. Just a device is mounted outside of conference room, typically next to room entrances. They show room availability, room name, and reservations. So let's say, room is, whatever the status is for that room, you can be able to display that on there. And then of course we got phones, and then we got regular displays, and then we got SIP devices. All right, so let's kind of click on store just to kind of show you an example of which devices are supported. And here you can see there are a bunch of things you can control, right? And here's, for example, categories for headsets. Here's web cameras, speaker phones, desk phones, and Teams displays, right? Here are the phones. You can control all of these things through here once they're installed and configured. Here are some displays that you can control. Here's, for example, like video conferencing monitor, and here's Teams Rooms devices, and here it is, the whole media room kit you can control, which has cameras, speakers, all kinds of different things. It's really cool if your company decides to use this, You can see that it's typical conference room type of stuff, and accessories, all kinds of different stuff. So that's the whole point of assigning Teams device admin to local tech support so they can control this type of stuff. All right, now let's continue our work. We've done the first part here. This is all done. We've set up Murta. This is all set up and ready to go. Now, why didn't we add more stuff to it? Because we haven't been told to do so. As simple as that. If Murta's manager wants me to give him more administrative privileges, that's going to happen, but never give him things that you're not instructed to do. As far as we know, Murta is only going to get domain administrator privileges for that location, and that's it. And we don't want to give them other administration privileges in Office 365. Why? Because that's my job. You know what I mean? That's your job. You don't want them to do your job, and that's just not how things work, right? You have your job, and he's a local tech support. He won't have time to do Office administration, Office 365 administration anyways. Okay, so what's going on here? I'm having trouble. Oh, it is. I had to do a refresh. So we're going to change finance manager. So finance manager, you're going to have to find out who a finance manager is. In my case, I already know who finance manager is, but we're going to have to assign him a role of billing administrator. So let's look for Sally Moe. She is a finance manager. So if I select her, then we can see the roles that she has right here, right? So this is another place where we can start to manage roles. So our job is to change her role and give her a billing admin role. Looks like this was already done, right? Looks like this was already done, so that's great. So what is a billing administrator? What can a billing administrator do? Well, it's kind of self-explanatory. Well, let me show you. We can look this up, but if we decided to change the roles, we can select manage roles right here and then do the same thing that we've talked about before. So here's billing administrator, and you can see make purchases, manage subscriptions, manage services requests, and monitor service health. So she already has this set up, but we could have made that change to the roles where we were just at. So we're good to go, and this can happen sometimes. Somebody else who is working Office 365 administration may have done this. Somebody who works before you, whoever is on, for example, first shift, let's say you're second shift, or there's just another person that does Office 365 and they've completed this work. It's a good way to check to see if this was already done. All right, so let's go to roles. Again, if you want to see everything that's in this column, select show all, go to roles, role assignments, and then we're going to look for a billing administrator. Here it is. Select billing administrator, and then we're going to click assigned to see who is assigned to it. And here it is, Sally Moe. So this is just another way of making sure that this is done. I like how it carries over this last sign-in information, and it tells you when the last time they signed in. So that's cool. We're done with the second part. All right, and then we got a new hire, Tracy Moore. So let's set up Tracy Moore. Again, we're going to go to active users. We're going to add a user. We're going to say Tracy Moore. Again, you can do this from Azure Active Directory if you really wanted to. Tracy is also a real person that submits ticket to my help desk videos, so that way I can create more help desk videos. Hint, hint. So I decided to use her as a, a person that is working for this fictitious company. Okay, so we've done the same thing as we've done for the previous new user. Okay, we're going to assign a license, and then from here, let's see here. Yep, this is good. And we're going to click next, roles. We're going to assign a role through here right away, and the role is global reader. And she is going to be help desk tier 2. So we're going to click admin center access, and here is global reader right there. Now, global reader can view all administrative features and settings in all admin center. So why do we need to give her this? Because she's going to be help desk tier 2, and help desk tier 2, it's good for them to at least be able to view all administrative features and settings in all admin. So they can read all this information that is available through the admin center. Okay, which is very important for help desk tier 2 to troubleshoot things. Even if help desk doesn't have access to Microsoft 365 admin center, this is possible. I mean, it depends on the company. If you work help desk, you may have access to Microsoft 365 admin center, but it's kind of a lower chance because this is more of advanced quote unquote system, and they don't necessarily want help desk to have access to this. But maybe tier 2, maybe. In this case, we're playing it safe. We're just given a read rule. We're just going to let him in. We're just going to let Tracy be able to read the settings because Tracy is an advanced user. Advanced employee, I should say. All right, then we're going to go to profile info, and we're going to have to say, we're going to just type in title. We're going to say help desk analyst tier 2 department help desk. And we're going to, we're going to type in just remote here. We're going to do remote. We're going to pretend that she's working remote. So we're just going to, for office location, we're just going to leave that remote. Address, we're just going to say remote as well. And we're going to leave all of this other stuff empty because it's remote. And we don't necessarily need to put her home address in here. You know what I mean? This is just for like actual on-site office building that belongs to the company. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, some off chance maybe employer wants this information, but not usually. And then office number, you do want the office number. And usually it will be something like this. If it's a help desk, it will be like 1-800-555-5555 or something like that. That's what usually is office when it help desk type of. And I don't know, there might be, let's say option 2 for tier 2 or something. We're going to click next, and let's see, what else do we need? I'm pretty sure that we've done. It's okay to check your notes again. Global reader, help desk tier 2. Okay, profile info, can we set up, what am I missing here? Help desk, profile info. Can we set up a manager here? No, we can't. That's okay. We're going to come back to this. We're going to click next. We're going to click finish adding. Okay, she's all set up. And then we're going to have to come back to her to set up, to tell on her profile to assign a manager to her, to basically identify her manager. In this case, Larry Bird got promoted to help desk manager. So let's find Larry. Here's Larry here, but let's do a search. Larry. So here's Larry Bird. We're going to click on him, and immediately if you scroll down on the first tab under the account, you can see under the manager that he's got Sally Moe as his manager, which is fine. Sally Moe is a finance manager, but she's also a senior manager. So it's kind of normal to have a manager above a manager in a hierarchy, which is fine. So we're going to leave that as it is. He got promoted to a help desk manager, which is under Sally. She is his manager still. Okay. However, we're going to have to manage some things. We're going to have to change some things. Remember how we added a global reader? We're going to give him global reader as well because he's help desk. So we're going to manage roles through here. We're going to click manage roles right next to here, right here where it says manage roles. And we're going to click admin center. We're going to give him global reader. We're still not going to give him global administrator because we don't necessarily need to give him that because he's a manager. He's not going to work the system necessarily. He's got people that will work the system. So we're going to click save changes. Now he can read things if he really wanted to go in. However, we need to change his title. We need to change his title to update to make sure that people know that he is the new help desk manager. And this is actually done right here where it says manage contact information, which I kind of wish it was worded differently. Otherwise, people might miss it, but it's right here. So scroll all the way down under phone number, select manage contact information. You see how it pulls up this other information that we actually use, which is really weird. So that's okay. It is there. It is what it is. Just kind of remember that it's there. Job title, help desk manager. Help desk manager, department, help desk slash finance, because he's still going to do some stuff in finance because Sally Moe is his finance manager. And he doesn't have an address here. We probably should fill this out. I think I used 4500 Happy Lane where Sally is. So let's fill this out real quick. You know, this is part of your job. And this is what I actually had. So, and this is his office number, like actual office room number, which I don't know, let's say 6500 as well. New York, New York. Okay, so this is your job. Save changes. Okay, so now he's got a title of help desk manager, which is great. This should show up in the system and in things like Teams and everything else, which is great. Now remember, we need to change something else here because we hired Tracy Moore as a help desk tier 2. We got to make sure that she has a manager assigned to her. Okay, and we're going to go to active users. Uncheck this. Come on. F5. I have to refresh. That's okay. And Tracy Moore, where's Tracy? Tracy Moore. And we're going to scroll down. And we're going to add a manager. And then we're going to find Larry. There he is. Larry. Good old Larry. All right. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Today's work is done. We have completed our work order, if you will. This might be your whole day that you do. I mean, depends how fast you work. And that's great. So if you happen to be a Microsoft 365 administrator, this might be all the work that you do for today, or you may have twice as much work. But that's okay. Repetition is the key. And if you are following along, then you'll be able to do all these things once you follow along these videos. So if you have to go back and rewatch what I did, then I encourage you to do that if you want to be decent at least. You don't have to be perfect at Office 365, but these are some of the daily things that you will be doing, and it's very important. And we're back to working Office 365 real life scenarios. Today we're going to create a help desk department. We're literally going to set up the whole thing. We're going to set up a group. We're going to set up all the new people that we're hired. We're going to adjust their roles. We're going to set them up in ServiceNow on top of that so they can actually work the tickets and the system, whatever it is that they need. We're going to set it up. It's going to be a very educational video. I hope you like it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Kobuman. We have a lot to work on today. This is a real life type of scenario. We're going to set up an entire help desk team, and there are quite a few things we have to do. If you remember from the last video, we've set up a couple of people, which is the beginning of our help desk team for this company. We've created one user called Tracy Moore. We've made her a tier 2 help desk. We've gave her some roles. We're going to add more roles to her because it's going to be required to do her job. And then we've also made sure that Larry Bird is the manager for the help desk. We also gave him some roles. All of this done was through Microsoft 365 Admin Center. We're going to do work more, but we're going to do rest of the work through Azure Active Directory. And once we're done with that, we're going to create a group, entire group through the Azure Active Directory. We're going to add 2 more people that were hired to work help desk. We're going to assign roles to them through the Azure Active Directory. Matter of fact, let me open it so you can see. And after we're done with all of this, we're going to go inside of ServiceNow. We're going to create new users within ServiceNow ticketing system, so these people can work help desk, so they can work all of these tickets that you can see here. I'm going to show you all of this. All right, so let's get it started. We're going to start with Azure Active Directory. By the way, just real quick, did you know you can actually buy me a coffee? I've recently just created a link so that way you can just buy me a coffee if you're interested to do so. I really appreciate it if you do. There's going to be a link in the description, and also in the very first comment pinned by me there's going to be a link. Again, it's not necessary anything like that, but if you want to buy me a coffee, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. So first thing first, let's just kind of recap of what we did real quick and actually do add more roles to the people we've created last time. So remember, it was Tracy Moore. Here we are inside of Azure Active Directory under users. So we're going to search for users, and here we're going to type in Tracy Moore, and here she is. We're going to click on her. So it's a little bit different compared to Microsoft 365 Admin Center. The way to add more roles is to actually select assigned roles while you have Tracy Moore open here. So select assigned roles, and we can see that we've created a global reader for her so she can read some of the global admin stuff. But of course we need to give her help desk admin role as well through here. So let's do that, and this is done by clicking add assignments. We're going to click on that, and we can scroll down and look for help desk, or we can just type in help desk admin, and here it is. We're going to select that. We're going to click add. And if I refresh here, it's going to actually take about 30 seconds for this to come up. And we're going to do the same thing for the new manager. Now, she is tier 2. So in this case, she's basically a lead for the help desk. And we got to give her these administrative privileges. We're going to do this as well for the other ones. And what that does is actually basically gives you ability to reset people's passwords and whatnot, typical help desk stuff. Okay, come on, refresh. There it is, came up finally. So it took about 30 seconds. Now we have to do that same thing for Larry Bird. Larry, where's Larry? Here's Larry. So again, assignment roles, add assignments, and the help desk. So here's a quick description in case you missed it. It says can reset passwords for non-administrators and the help desk administrator. So we're going to select that and click add. All right, so we're done with that. Again, it's going to take 30 seconds for it to update. Now we have to go back to Azure Active Directory. So make sure Azure Active Directory is selected and not users. Don't go in here because it's different. So make sure it's Azure Active Directory selected here. And then we're going to go to groups. We have to create a group that we've just talked about, which is called help desk. Again, we are creating, literally we're creating help desk groups, so they have a way to communicate using Teams, SharePoint, whatever it is that they need, or shared emails, so that literally we're creating a functional help desk group, right? So here it is. Here's an example of the groups we've already created. So we got, finance, we got deployment team, etc. This is how we're going to do it here. There's a button right here where it says create new group. It's kind of self-explanatory, so we're going to click create new group. Here are group types, and we got 2 different group types. We got security and we got Microsoft 365. If you look at this real quick, it says security groups are used to give group members access to applications, resources, and assign licenses. Group members can be users, devices, service principals, and other groups. So what does that mean? So if I select security or leave it security here, this is more for 365 administrators, which is in this case you and me, right? So we're going to leave this as it is, and I'm sorry, we're going to change it to Microsoft 365, because if you look at the description for that, it says here Microsoft 365 groups are used for collaborating, giving members access to shared mailboxes, calendars, files, SharePoint access, and so on. Group members can only be users. And this is exactly what we want help desk, because help desk in this case, they're going to have a help desk administrator privileges where they can change the passwords only for the user accounts and etc. In this case, we're just creating a group, a place for them to have a shared mailbox, shared calendars, files, SharePoints, and so on, including like Teams communication and this and that. So Microsoft 365 is the group type. Group name, we're going to type in help desk. Group email address here is basically helpdesk at cosmicnovo.onmicrosoft.com, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to leave it at that. Group description, I'm just going to type in helpdesk. And here it says membership type. We're just going to leave it assigned. We got other options here as like a dynamic and such. We're going to leave it that because I don't want to make this too complicated. So we're just going to leave it membership type as assigned, meaning that we're going to have to assign the memberships. Here's under here where it says owners. Guess what we're going to add in here? And that would be our friend Larry Bird, because he is the manager. So he's going to be able to make some changes when it comes to the group, things like shared email, and he's going to be the owner of that. So he's basically the guy to ask. He may not necessarily know how to do any of that stuff, and that's okay, but he's the one who's going to be approving all of these access types in regards to help desk. Okay, so whether it's any Teams access, shared mailboxes, SharePoint, any etc, etc, etc. Here is members here. That's kind of self-explanatory. We got a first member here that we're going to add, and that would be Tracy Moore. We're going to add her as a member of the team. We're going to click create. Now we have two more people, two more hires that we've hired for help desk, and this is done under users. So make sure inside of Azure Active Directory, select users. We're going to select add new user, and we're going to leave the option here obviously to create the user. So we're just going to do it like this. If you want to do invite, you can do that too, but we're going to do create user. And here it is. It's a little bit different from when it comes to doing it through Microsoft 365 Admin Center, where the order is out of whack. Over there, you would type in the first and last name, and then later on, you would type in the username. In this case, we're going to have to do it first, but we don't necessarily have to do it. What I'm going to do actually here, it says here name. This is basically the display name from Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So what I'm going to do for the first user, I'm just going to paste the entire name so that I have it here, and I'm going to fill out first and last name down here. By the way, Yassine Lejguar is one of the people who submitted help desk ticket for my help desk video, which comes out tomorrow. And so we got this filled out, and what I usually do for username is just first name followed by the first letter of the last name. So it's going to be Yassine L. Okay, and you can do auto generate password, or you can say let me create password. I like to create. So I'm going to set a password that I'm going to tell Yassine so they can log in and change it. And here it is. We can add groups right here. You know, the group that we literally just created, we're going to select that, right? We're going to select that. We can scroll down and look for help desk, or we can search for help desk. Let's just scroll down in this case, and here it is. Here is our help desk. We're going to select that. So we've added them there. We're going to double check over there too to make sure that it actually added in there. And here are some roles. If we select on roles here, we can start to add these roles immediately. We don't have to manually go in and do it later. So here it is. We're gonna give them, let's do help desk. I'm not gonna give him global reader because that's only for the tier 2. So I'm just gonna give him help desk admin. And here, this option is just block sign in. No, we don't want to do that. This is when somebody is fired or they left the company. We would block sign in and this and that. Now here is usage location. Self-explanatory. Like over there is basically, I think over there it says country or something like that. Here we just have to select the whatever the location is. In this case, I'm just going to select the United States. Job title, I'm going to type in help desk analyst. Department help desk. Company name, I don't know, Kobuman's help desk. I don't know. I just made this up. It doesn't matter. These are just semantics, meaning that you know these are not necessarily super important things. Like for example, company name. It doesn't necessarily need to be filled out if everybody's working for the same company. But if it's a subset company, then you might want to specify. For example, let's say that Yasin here is a contractor. Then you might want to type in contractor name. So in this case, let's pretend Kobuman's help desk is a contractor. Sure, why not? And here is manager, right? We know who the manager is. We're gonna do Larry Bird action here. Larry Bird, he's the manager. We're gonna select that. So this one is created, and then we got one more. Let's do one more, create user. So same thing. We got Sanji. Again, these are people who submitted a ticket through my help desk videos. Really appreciate it. And again, so we're going to fill this out. We're going to say Sanji for the first name and last name Shaga. And username is going to be SunGS. All right. So we're going to run, just go through this like we've done it in the previous. All right. So I set the password. I'm going to select the group. Let's see, help desk. Selected, role, help desk admin, boom, that's done. Usage location, USA, United States of America. Job title, help desk analyst, department, help desk, company, Kobuman's. Cool. Can I spell my own name? Kobuman's help desk. All right. And manager is good old Larry Bird, Mr. Larry Bird, the manager. All right. So we're going to create this. Now let's check the first one, which is Yasin, to make sure that the roles are added in there. So we're going to look for Yasin here, make sure that that has been set up correctly, just to double check. Again, once you do this quite a few times and you're comfortable and you're confident, you don't have to do this. This is just us double checking our work. So we're going to check assigned roles. Here it is, help desk administrator. And we're going to click on groups here just to see, and there it is, help desk. So we've set them up, right? The next step is, of course, to tell them what the password is so they can log in, right? And they're going to be forced to check their, change their password, this and that. However, we got to give them login IDs inside of our service desk / help desk. In this case, it's called ServiceNow help desk system. So as an administrator, you can go in here and add users. So this is how I'm going to do it. Groups are already in here, created here to make it kind of straightforward when it comes to this video. So what I'm going to do is actually look for users, and I'm going to select users. So under system security, users or users in group. In this case, I'm just going to do users here. So search for users in your left hand side column. And here are some people that actually requested access to this system, which I've granted to them so they can check it out. If you want that, you can also let me know in the comment below. Keep in mind that this instance of this help desk service now has to be woken up sometimes. But if you let me know, I'll wake it up and I'll give you access so you can look around. All right, and here it is. It's very simple here. I'm just going to click new. If I click new on the right side here, we can fill out some information. Here's a user ID. So for this, I'm going to type in for the Yasin. I'm going to type in Yasin L, just like we've done it over there. And I'm going to fill out the first and last name, Yasin Lechguar. Title, help desk analyst. Department, IT. I don't know if I have help desk in here or service desk, customer support, sales. Okay, well, looks like we have IT for now. That's okay. In the future videos, we can change these things. And here is email. We can fill this out as well. So let's do this. We're going to need this so that way Yasin can get notifications. And here is Yasin's email. So I found Yasin in Azure Active Directory. I'm just going to copy this and do some copy pasta action, copy paste. And we're going to leave this here. Calendar integration, this is fine. And if you have phone number, you can fill this out. So for example, business phone number, if the help desk is 1-800 or 1-888, well, let's do 1-800, 1-800 555 5555. You would fill all of this out, right? You would fill all this out. It's not much to fill out. So this is basically created. So we have to just select submit, and then afterwards we create a password. All right, now that the user is created, the help desk analyst is created, we're gonna have to look for them in here and do a little bit more. Let's see here, Yassine. Here it is, Yassine. And we're going to reset the password. This is how you set the password. From here, now you can actually have the option to set the password. So if you click on bottom, set password, you can select to generate new password, then you copy it, and then you save the password, and then you close it. Don't worry, we're going to do this one more time for the other user and for the other help desk analyst, I should say. And while we're here, we're going to add them to help desk group. So if we go down here and select groups, we're going to select edit, and then we're going to add them to help desk group. Okay, and that's that. Now we can convey this information. Yassine is going to be able to change the password. Now this is different if the whole company is using SSO, that means single sign-on, where they use the same login and password for everything else. Unfortunately, I don't have ServiceNow set up for that right at the moment, because this is my own version of development version of Service Desk, and I don't have single sign-on created. But this is how you do it manually, and this could get you started in the right place. All right. So let's add Sanji in there as well. So if I select users again and select new, we're going to add Sanji in there. Okay, we're going to type in user ID Sanji S. First name Sanji. Last name Shaga. Title Help Desk Analyst. Department. Again, we're going to select IT here. And, okay, we're going to click submit. Oh yeah, we need the email. Let's look for the Sanji's email. Sanji. Here we go. Sanji's email is here. Copy pasta. There is that. Then we got 1-800-555. 5555 for the phone number. We're going to click submit. I'm going to have to look for Sanji again. And here's Sanji. And then now we can set the password. Select set password. Generate. Copy. Save. Close. Okay. And then we're going to add groups here. And then we're going to add to help desk. Okay, you're going to go over there, make sure you do the arrow here, and then select save. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Today we're going to continue where we left off from the previous video, and then we're going to continue with Microsoft Exchange. We're going to assume a role of Microsoft Exchange administrator, and I'm going to present to you an idea of what you might expect if you get hired to specifically be Exchange administrator. It's a very good video, so let's get into it. Before we begin, please take a moment to say hi, hello, or present. It's sort of like a roll call in the class. That way I know you're present and you're interested in this type of content in the comments below. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the video. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Kobuman. Today we're going to continue our 365 training. So in the last video, we've set up a help desk team. Well, it was more of a beginning of setting up a help desk team where we grant access to certain things and give certain accesses. We're going to expand on that, but we're going to expand that within Exchange administration, Microsoft Exchange administration. What we're going to do here is we're going to look for our tier 2 help desk person, which was Tracy Moore. We're going to do it from here in the admin center. We're going to look her up, and we're going to give her more permissions. And what we're going to do, we're going to assign her a role that will give her Exchange access permission. And I'm going to show you a few places where you can do this. Scroll down, select manage roles, and then from here we can add more roles. Now, we've already given her global reader and help desk administrator. However, she doesn't have any access to any of the Exchange stuff, Microsoft Exchange stuff. Now, I cannot give her a full Exchange administrator privileges because this is for the Exchange administrator. And for those reasons, we will create an Exchange administrator that will do all of these things for her, which we will do right now. And then we're going to pretend that this Exchange administrator is doing all of this work that needs to be done. What she actually needs is basic access to the Exchange that we will talk about. And there are a few places where you can get that and where you can start that, including the Exchange Admin Center. Okay, so we've hired an Exchange administrator from the outside, then we're going to create a login account for them first. So we're going to click add user. I'm just going to do it from here. Of course, you can do it from Azure Active Directory if you want, but this time we're going to do it through here. We're going to call him Bobby Smith, and we're going to give him a username of Bobby S. I'm going to set the password. I'm going to do this real quick through here, and here are licenses. Of course, we're just going to select the standard license, which should be fine. I'm going to select next, and we're going to set up roles through here, and we can also do it through the roles tab. But let me show you how it's done through here. So roles right here. If I go here, I can select admin center access. And if I'm going to make him an Exchange administrator, I would simply select Exchange administrator. So let's kind of read what it says here. Full access to the Exchange online, creates and manages groups, manages service requests, and monitors service health, which is perfectly fine because this person is going to be full Exchange administrator. So I can just do a check mark here, Exchange administrator, and I'm going to click next. And it's simple from here. We can edit his profile. We can certainly do that later, but for the sake of continuing this, we're just going to click finish adding. And now we got Bobby Smith, who is going to be our Exchange administrator. I'm actually going to go and find Bobby Smith in here. The reason I want to do it, and I should have actually done it earlier, is because I just want to set his title so that he's known to be a Bobby Smith, as in the Exchange administrator. So when you look him up as a contact within like Outlook or something like that, and you search for Exchange administrator, Bobby Smith is going to come up under that. So we're going to do what we're going to do here is just from here scroll down and select manage contact information, and I'm just going to set the title here to Exchange administrator. Sorry, I can't spell. Administrator. And department, we're just going to say IT, and then other stuff we can fill out later. I just wanted to add his title so it's easier to keep track of. All right, so now Bobby logs in. Let's pretend we're Bobby now. Let's pretend that you are Exchange administrator, and now we can log into Exchange admin, and then we can start adding things. Now let me show you this other place where we've added Bobby. We've given him Exchange admin role, and here it is, Exchange. I remember how we added it through the admin. So when we selected admin, if we go into roles here while we're inside of Microsoft 365 Admin Center on the left and click on role assignments, we can see that he's in here as well. So what we need to look for is Exchange administrator. So if we scroll down or simply look for it, in this case, I guess we're just going to scroll down, and then we find Exchange administrator. When we click on it, now we can see that he's in there as well. And it tells you how many people are assigned to be Exchange administrator, and we have 2 so far. And I think the first one was from our previous sessions that we've done on the first series of Office 365 videos. So we got 2 people actually now, which is Samantha Rogers, and then we've got Bobby Smith that we've added in here. And of course, if he's not added in here, we would simply select add, and then we would search for people and just add them in there, select them and add them in there. So that's 2 ways of doing this. Now, while we are here, I want to point out something here. We see where it says, we're still under role assignments. And then first tab, we got Azure AD, and the next one is Exchange. This is different from the Azure AD one because this one gives you more of a global access. Like in this case, we've added an Exchange administrator access to Bobby because it's a more of a global access. If you want to be more specific, for example, certain aspects of Exchange, we would do it through here. And for those reasons, we are now, working as Bobby, right? We're going to pretend like we're working as Bobby. And now we're going to start giving access to those people that have been hired for help desk. This is his first job order. He just got hired and he's going to get to it. So he's going to do it through here. Here's one way to do it. So Exchange through here, through the admin center. So make sure Exchange is selected and then look for help desk access. And here it is. If we scroll down, we don't have to go far, or we can just search for it. And let's read what this says here. It says, members of this management role can view and manage the configuration for individual recipients and view recipients in Exchange organization. So that's perfectly fine. We can, that's fine. For our members of help desk, I'm okay with this. Now, of course, your organization may not allow this, may only allow the Exchange admins to do this. But in my case, I'm going to trust my help desk employees. I'm going to let them do it. So again, to kind of continue reading, actually, is that members of this role can only manage the configuration for each user can manage on his or her own mailbox. So what does that mean? The configuration and changes that you can do as the member of this role, the only thing you can do is the same stuff that the user themselves can do. So it's limited to only that. So you can do things on behalf of users, right? So if a user calls in and it says, I need help with this or that in regards to email, you can make these changes on behalf of the user, and it's limited to that. Now it does say here additional permissions can be added by assigning additional management roles to this role group, meaning that we can add other roles on top of this role that would basically include those permissions as well. So, and that's perfectly fine. And so in order to add, for example, Tracy Moore, we just click on assigned. So let's just kind of roll back here. I've clicked on help desk here. And then if you click on the second column here, a second tab, if you will, to assigned, then we can add people in there. And then we're going to simply select and search for them. So let's do Tracy Moore. Here's Tracy. We're going to add her. And then we can also add, what were there some other people? Well, let me do a scroll down here. I think people that we've added before were, bear with me, I think it was Murta Yaran in the last video. So I'm going to add him. And there are two more which we're going to do through the Exchange Admin Center. So I'm going to click add, and now these two employees have these permissions to basically adjust user mailbox type of permissions. Roles, I should say. And that this permission tab here is to basically add other permissions on top of the current permissions. You see it says here, add or remove the roles to the help desk. Roles define the tasks and resources that members assigned to group can manage. So if I wanted to, for example, add full access to anything, I can certainly do this, and that would be perfectly fine. But keep in mind that at this point you are modifying this help desk role, which has these current limitations where you can only adjust settings for users configuration, the same thing that they can do. So if you go to permissions here, you're basically modifying this role, which is help desk. Okay, you give it more, or you remove or less, or whatever it is that you've been told to do. Okay, but we're going to keep it simple, so we're just going to keep moving on. So if we go to Exchange, inside of the Exchange Admin Center, now we're still working as Bobby. He's the new Exchange admin. Now we're going to have to add those two other people, those roles. And it's kind of done the same as in Microsoft Admin Center. And if we select roles, we can click admin roles here. And then if we scroll down, we can find help desk. Notice that this is the same thing as roles over here, right? You see it says, so now we are, let me backtrack here because I want you to understand this. Roles here and roles assignment here. And then if I click on Exchange, right now we're only viewing Exchange. roles, right? It's the same thing as clicking roles here in the side of Exchange and then selecting admin roles. And you can compare here. If you want to pause the video, you can compare here that it's the exact same thing. You see? We got compliance management, discovery management on top here, and then we got compliance management, discovery management down here. If we scroll down, here is our help desk under global reader that ends with 468. And if we scroll down here, we got help desk under the global reader, which is 468. What I'm trying to say is this is the exact same thing, just done different way. So if I select help desk, here we add people the same way we've done it through the admin center. So this is a second way of doing it. So we're going to go click assigned. We can see the people that we've already added. I'm going to click add, and I'm going to add 2 of those other people that we've created for help desk. And I think they're on the bottom here somewhere. Yeah, it was Yassine, and it was Sanji. So we're going to add them. And here they are. Now they have those accesses. Now it is slightly different here, how it shows up as a type, which I honestly can't explain because it's the same role that you're giving them with the same permissions. So why the type is listed differently, maybe just to indicate that it was added through the Exchange. And if we click on permissions, we can see that there are other permissions, just like the other one where we can add more permissions if we want to. So what else can we do? Since we are inside of Exchange Admin Center, let's kind of expand on it. What can Bobby do? What else can Bobby do? Here's inside of Exchange Admin Center, and then the first thing we've got here is recipient. So if we select mailboxes here, you can simply see the mailboxes of people, right? These are mailboxes of everyone that is within the organization. We can see their email addresses and their mailboxes. From here, we can do some administration. So let's say here the first person here is Abigail. If we select on Abigail, we can see the basic information on them, which is fine. We can do this from Admin Center too. But let's see here what else we have. We got what's related mostly is here delegation. We can basically send as permissions to delegate to send email from this mailbox. Message will appear to have sent from this mailbox owner. And that's exactly what it is. If this was a mailbox that was a group mailbox and not individual mailbox, we can change these settings. And we're going to talk about that when it comes to the mailbox themselves, not for the individual user. This is not what you would normally want to do for individuals. So this is the send as and send on behalf permissions or delegations are done usually for shared mailboxes, and we're going to talk about that. So if I select on mailbox here for this individual user, for Abby here, then we can see certain things, like for example message size restrictions, and we can change this. The maximum size of email sent here is 35 megabytes, and then we can change that. If we click here, we can select and we can change the size. You have to be careful with this. If you make it too big, then it can slow down the Exchange server. If it has to process this data, it can slow things down. So if we go back here to the mailbox, we can set up email forwarding, and this is the same thing that the help desk people that got those help desk roles that we've assigned them, those specific Exchange roles, this is the type of thing they can do in here. They can manage email forwarding. I'm pretty sure they cannot make these changes unless we give them that access, but they can manage these email forwarding settings. This is something that that users can do on their own. If they don't know how to do it, you can do it for themselves. And then we got things here like message delivery restrictions. I'm going to stay away from this because I don't want to complicate this. This would be further in possibly in a more advanced video. But this is the gist of it when it comes to that mailbox. And if we click on other things, this is just basic things that you can, permissions, this and that, members of group. Again, this is something in a more of advanced video. All right, so let's look at other things, what Bobby here, as in Microsoft Exchange administrator, can do. Of course, under the mailboxes, while we're still here, we can see that we can add a shared mailbox if we wanted to create. So what is a shared mailbox? It's basically a mailbox that's shared amongst multiple people. And that's where that send as and on behalf of comes in. We have shared mailbox created already. So we're just going to click on this one that I've created from before. And we're going to see some of these settings that we've talked about. And that was that delegation. So this is a shared mailbox. This is just was created in one of my previous videos. So it's basically labeled clearly as a shared mailbox, not for an individual. This is a shared mailbox. And then we select delegation and we can see the send as information here. So if you select this and edit it, it says the send as permission allows to delegate the delegate to send an email from this mailbox. So simply we're going to allow somebody else to send email from this mailbox, which can be added later to their Outlook if they have access to it. So we're going to click edit and then we're going to add members. So let's, for example, add I don't know, let's say, matter of fact, because it's just fresh in my mind, let's just add Tracy Moore to this shared mailbox just to keep it simple. And now Tracy can send on behalf of this mailbox. She can have access to this mailbox and she can send as the email coming from this mailbox. So whenever she sends email, she can select to send an email from new shared mailbox, meaning that whoever received this email, it's going to say received email from new shared mailbox from that email address. Okay, so if we collect, I don't know if she's added in there. It may take a little bit to add. She's not there. It takes a little bit to update this, but we've added her. So let's go back to well, you see how it is. It updated. It just took a little bit. If we go back to delegation, the other thing here is read and manage full access. Now, this is, of course, a little bit different from individual mailboxes that we've seen. The option was different, and that option was, let's just randomly pick a person, is send on behalf. And again, usually this is not done on behalf of somebody else using their email, but if it's something that the organization does, your company does, then you can certainly make these changes. So let's compare it to the shared mailbox. This is an individual mailbox. It says to send on behalf, permissions allows the delegate to send email on behalf of this mailbox. The only reason I can think of to actually do this is if somebody's been let go and they have contacts in their mailbox that their people are reaching out to them and asking for help. Somebody can send an email on behalf of Johnny here and say, hello, this is, I don't know, Tracy Moore on behalf of Johnny. Johnny's no longer with the company. Please send further emails and inquiries to this other mailbox. That's the point of this. Now let's go back to the shared mailbox. And if we go to delegations, this one says read and manage full access. The full access permissions allows the delegate to open this mailbox and behave it as the mailbox owner. So this goes back to the part where I say you can add this mailbox inside of your Outlook as another mailbox, right? So if I click edit, we have to add the other members into it. So right now there's nobody in there. You see, it's kind of slow, but that's okay. We're going to add member and we're going to add Tracy so she can do this as well. Otherwise, if we haven't done this, Tracy can open up her Outlook. She'll open up her Outlook and she can change the send as to something else. So this is basically what would happen. She would compose an email. Here it is, from, show from, and then she can change this from to something else. See, there is a from Irvin dot, but she'll have other email addresses, and one of these email addresses, which is this one, new shared mailbox, will show up. You see what I'm getting at? I think that's fairly explanatory. And since we've added read and manage full access, now she can go in and she can add that mailbox inside of her as a secondary mailbox. And that's simply done by adding a new folder. Add a shared folder, and then we would pick that shared mailbox like this, add, and then whatever is in that mailbox, if we expand it, you see it says I don't have permissions. See, I haven't added myself to have permissions, but she can do it because she's been added permission, and this is the proof of actually doing that. So this is for Irvin. Let's add him in there to the shared mailbox as well, so we can prove that this is working like so. Where's Irvin? Here he is. I'm going to add him, confirm, and it's going to take a little bit here, and let's see how long it takes. So it may take a little bit here I'm just gonna do a refresh. I think it's about 30 seconds. It shouldn't be more than that. It's thinking about it. You see when I click on it? Oh, it's still it's gonna take a little bit here. So this is the gist of the shared mailbox, and I feel like this is very easy to follow and understand. So it's very important to know these things. I'm gonna try again to see if I. Okay, it's gonna take a while to take effect. So that's a good point. You know, when you add somebody in there, it's gonna take a while for them to gain access. You know, I'd say give them half hour. Say check later in half hour or something like that. So that's fine. Anyways, and well, what else can we talk about here? I think we're pretty much here with mailboxes. I think that's self-explanatory. If we select on groups, now what is this? This groups part of it is basically creating a group that gives you a few options. So let's go ahead and click add group and see what options we have. What are these groups? Now, if we select on first option here, we leave it at this version where it says Microsoft 365 recommended. What is this group? And this group allows teams to collaborate by giving them a group email and a shared workspace for conversation, files, and calendars in Outlook, and they are called groups. So it just says in Outlook they're called groups, right? So it allows teams to collaborate by giving them a group email. What is a group email? That's that shared mailbox that we just talked about. And then shared workspace for conversations. What is that? That's Teams access. So it's a place to chat, to collaborate, you know, like a messaging system where groups can be in the same group and talk about projects, work that they're doing, assisting each other, etc., etc. Files, this refers to the SharePoint. They can have SharePoint access, and then of course calendars. It's a group calendar. And then it says here in Outlook they're called groups. So if I go back to Outlook, you know, under groups, it would show up here, you know. This still hasn't updated. That's okay. So that's first option, and they recommend it because it creates all of this and it's less work for you. And I recommend doing this for a new department or if you're creating a new group. And then we've got other option here, which is distribution, and creates an email address for a group of people. So that's all this is. Email addresses, a list of emails, right? So we can, if we could create a distribution, we can name it, for example, help desk. We can name it help desk, and all of those people within that are added into that help desk distribution, all it is just a email list of people that work for help desk. So if you send an email to that distribution, which is an email, then they would all get that email. And we've done that in the last video, by the way. And then we've got mail enabled security. So what is this? Sends messages to all members of the group and gives access to resources like OneDrive, SharePoint, and admin roles. So that's what it is. It sends messages to all members of the group and gives access to resources like OneDrive, SharePoint, and admin roles. It's kind of self-explanatory when it comes to this. So if we create mail-enabled security, all it is sends a message and lets them know that they've received access to OneDrive, SharePoint, or some kind of admin roles. Right? And then you would add these people into that group. All the members of that group will receive these emails. It's just a notification email, basically. It says, oh, hello, Bob. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Myrta. You've received access to OneDrive. You've received access to SharePoint. You've received admin role. Not something you have to worry about at this point. This is more of like an advanced type of administration, in my opinion, but we can certainly expand on it in future videos, of course. And then we've got dynamic distributions, which sends email to all members of the list. So it's kind of like the regular distribution. However, the group's memberships list is updated every 24 hours based on filters and conditions you set. So whoever controls this distro is somebody who's going to be actively adding and removing people, and for those reasons you want the dynamic distribution list. So it's an email list, but if people are constantly wanting to be, for example, removed or added, they can certainly do that. You know how you get emails from some companies and you're like, I don't remember signing up for this? You can select to unsubscribe, and this is what happens, right? This is automatically, well, it should be automatically removing people from these dynamic distribution lists. So you know how you get those emails and you're like, I don't want these emails, and you click unsubscribe. This is what that is. Okay, and I'm gonna just cancel out of it because I don't, we don't have time to get into it at this point, at this video for this time. And there are other things here we can talk about, resources and contacts. We can certainly do that, but let's kind of stick to the main things that Microsoft 365, Microsoft Exchange admin would do. So let's look at the mail flow, and I've talked about this before too. And here, if you select mail flow, you can do a message trace. So if somebody has lost an email or hasn't received an email, we can start to trace. For example, if we select here, and then if we select a recipient, for example, and let's do Tracy Moore. Let's say Tracy says, I can't view email that I am supposed to get. A customer is supposed to send me an email and I'm not be able to receive it. You can do a trace to see if this email actually processed and if it came through. And you specify the time frame of how far you want to check. So if it was within the last 7 days, which is kind of a typical thing you would do, you would just leave it at 7 days, and then it would check all the emails that came through. So if we click search, it would give you results. And here are some emails that Tracy has received. So here she received an email here which says you've joined the help desk group, and then here's just a regular Microsoft advertisement email that she had received. But if you click on one of them, you can see the statuses and what exactly happened within the email that was received. And if it says here received properly or processed or delivered, this is all green, meaning everything is good. But if there are issues, for example, it didn't go through, it was blocked, these things would be turning red. And then you would find the reasons why this would, and then if there's an issue with it, for example, then you can, move on and try to troubleshoot with that. But let's say it's a spam email and it's bad, that's blocked by the server, you can report this message. If you select report message, and this message would go into security and security administrator, which is now called Microsoft 365 Defender, would work on this and trying to figure out whether this email is bad or not. Okay, let's stick to the Exchange admin. We can talk about security in the future videos. And then under mail flow, if we click on rules, here's one that's just called blocking viruses. This is the one I've created, and it just says this is a rule that blocks certain type of messages. So let's kind of double check this. We can create new one, but let's kind of double check to see what this one is about. And I'm pretty sure I created this one to block emails with any attachment that has executable content. What that means is that it's usually a virus. So if somebody sends an email and there's an .exe in it, there's a chance that it's a virus. Unless you're, unless you're talking to your buddy that is working on some kind of program and he's like, hey, I need to send you this program, within the same organization, within the same company, then, then might be okay. But, so this is a rule. So email rule, and you can set up multiple rules in here, and then you can create new rules and do all kinds of things that would filter different kinds of emails. So Bobby would be working on this, and he would probably love it because he likes this. And I think I'm going to leave it at that because this video is getting pretty long. I'd like at least half an hour, and I want to create another one here shortly because my licenses, to be honest, are starting to expire soon. So I'm going to try to make as many videos as I can before that expires. And, this one is getting pretty long and I need to get to editing this one. And yeah, I need to get this going. If you like this type of content, please let me know in the comments below. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to, send me a tip, you can certainly do so. I have what's it called, a website link to basically send me a donation, which is called Buy Me Coffee. None of this is required, but if you want to send me buy me a coffee or something like that, you can certainly do so. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll talk to you later and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.